Doing pretty well. How are you? Um, Weird. It just doesn't have you doing a thing. Yep. It was just the wrong executable. Apologize.
All right, we'll give this another shot.
Yeah, take it from the top. Sorry.
If people in the chat can give me a thumbs up if you can hear me, that'd be good. But wanted to welcome everybody to Charlotte. We're here at the Roval circuit. Not one of the more popular multi-class racing circuits on the calendar, but the fact that we kind of bring that kind of racing to you live here in the Sports Car Series, I think, kind of one of the things that sets us apart. And yeah, I think it does a good job, especially with these cars and classes, to promote some really good racing. So Finn, multi-class racing around the Charlotte Roval. We've done this at least once before. What's your feeling on multi-class racing at Charlotte?
I think it's always a fun testament to the you can have good multi-class racing on any track. It's just seeing which track, and if and the track and car combination, I think, play heavily into what makes Charlotte Roval work really well with GT4s and LMP3s. It's also the same kind of feeling I get with the Indy road course over at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Just something about the amount of power you have in these machines on the type of track you have over here makes it a very nice drive, and something a little bit unorthodox that you don't usually see in the sports car championship of iRacing officials.
Yeah, and for me, a track like Charlotte Roval it's kind of like a very condensed version of, like, for example, Daytona. The elevation change at Charlotte in particular does set it apart, in my opinion, from Daytona. But I love the technical nature of Roval and super speedway course racing in particular. So I'm really kind of glad that we've got this kind of track on the calendar, and we got other tracks on the calendar that I think are going to promote kind of a similar feel of racing. Like I'm trying to remember. I believe we're hitting Chicago in round 6. That's one that I'm looking forward to. That's going to fit fit the bill a little bit. And yeah, I mean, just with the machines that we've got and the people that we've got on track, I think it's gonna be a lot of fun to watch. As far as the free practice, we're getting ready to close this one out before we go into the qualifying session. What do you feel like so far with what you're seeing from the drivers on track? Pace, consistency. What sort of things are standing out to you so far?
I think the big one for a lot of this, since it's something that we don't drive a lot here as road car drivers, the pace is a little bit more spread out than we usually will see at some other racetracks that we have on our calendar for this season or in general. So I think it'll be consistency over the laps, because I've seen a lot of quick laps, those the purple laps, green laps for drivers, followed by a couple other ones that are a little bit slower. So it's going to be interesting having them manage the pace consistently, and especially when you get into lap traffic and lapping traffic, it'll play, I think, heavily, especially with a lot of these off-camber corners on the infield. That'll be interesting to see how that shakes down.
Yeah, and I think the arrival speed of the LMP3s in some of the more technical sections with the GT4s. The thing about Charlotte Roval is I feel like one of the things that is particularly tricky is there's a lot of width on a good chunk of this track. Like even in some of the technical bits, like when you're getting into the first sector, there's a lot of wide corner entries, but that doesn't necessarily mean just because you got a wide corner entry that you can go 4 wide and that all 4 cars will make it and everything will be hunky-dory. So with the LMP3s having to navigate GT4s running side by side on some of these wider sections of track, it'll just be interesting to see how they handle it. I think it's going to be tough, but I think it's going to be fun to watch.
That it will be. But as we're getting ready for qualifying here, I think they're about to go into the driver's briefing. We could take a quick look at the championship standings. Does that sound like the right place to do that?
Yes, sounds
Awesome.
good.
Let's go ahead and pop over to that. Hopefully I don't confuse it too much. I absolutely have already. Let's go.
Now, it doesn't move the race info. The race info is
Yeah.
the one overlay that just wants to stay on screen all the time. But anyway.
Absolutely. But LMP3 championship standings. Starting off currently in P1, Scott Fleming, 147 points. Are you surprised with that?
No, Scott's been a dominant force. I think the thing that I am kind of very interested is that going to be the case the whole season, right? Because we've seen instances before where Ethan has had like kind of dominance in this field, never really run into kind of like a bad situation or anything like that. It's like bad luck has only like struck Ethan Hamlet so many times in LMP3. Is the same thing going to be true for Scott Fleming? Is Gian Cardoso, who sitting in P2 in the LMP3 championships, I think is something really to highlight and give a big pat on the back to Gian Cardoso, because he has just been showing up to every single race. He's been putting in consistent results and getting that 118 points, is setting himself apart from some really other dominant players inside this field.
Absolutely. I think he is a great person I would love to see if he can close that gap. It's only 30 points, and it's one good race for Gian, one bad race for Scott Fleming away from really closing that gap down to as little of a point difference and margin going into the future rounds. But I also think Mark Coyne is someone else who I think we've seen an amazing amount of consistency with. Not raw pace, but definitely has been able to keep the nose clean throughout a lot of the incidents that have taken out the other competitors that are currently below him on the list. In both, it becomes to mind Motegi and his amazing drive there and just being consistent. I think netted him a lot of good points there.
Indeed. Mark Coyne is the hardest working man in sim racing, as far as I'm considered. So the 937 definitely keeping Gian Cardoso honest, but does have a bit of a fight on his hands because Gob Chavez and Alex Velasco, they're not that far behind, 97, 96 points. That is definitely striking distance. So we're gonna see how that's gonna work out for Mark as he tries to hang on P3 and LMP3. What's the GT4 Pros look like?
The GT4 Pros, if we go over to them, I believe we have a pretty dominant run from Ethan Hamlet to start us off at 155. Yeah, we are shocked. This is our shocked face. But I think it's really cool to see Tommy Gogan in that P2 spot and Colin Johnson in P3. And there's only a 2-point gap between those two. So I think it's a very, very tight battle for the podium overall. And I think, Tanner Schiffner, Henry Garcia are both individuals who have the chance to take that podium spot away if they are consistent and do very well here.
Yeah. And I think another one, too, is, seeing some other dominant folks in GT4 Pro who I think don't really have stats on the board right now that are really representative of the true pacer potential. I'm looking at Uthman Badmus. I'm looking at Sam Chapman. I feel like they're like one or two good races away from kind of like surging up the charts. I don't know if they're going to be able to necessarily at this phase in the game be able to mount a charge against Ethan Hamlet, but you never know. Like Ethan could have like. Ethan doesn't really have a lot of bad luck. He manages traffic quite well. But like two, 3 bad races, like something that really affects like any kind of like drop round potential or something like that. And suddenly, we got a different kind of championship on our hands. I'm hoping that like with Tommy, Kogan, and Colin, like you were saying, like it like they're pretty close. Maybe it's kind of sort of a similar situation with LMP3. One bad race for Ethan, one good race for Tommy, and suddenly it looks like a race to the championship. We still got a lot of rounds left, so
absolutely we are.
I feel like anything can happen.
Yes, absolutely, and let's not like discount the rest of that GT4 Pro field. Like there are. Yeah. We have the top 10 here. We have another, I believe, 7 individuals in that championship.
Yep.
Sorry, 6 individuals in that championship. And there are pretty close battles pretty much all the way down, and from Austin Green and Sam Chapman and Devlin Hunter, all 3 of them within, 8 points 7 points there, which I think will really tighten up the kind of 10th, 9th, and 10th places as the rounds continue. And if they are, again, one good race from Devlin and one bad race from Matt Pyle right above him, will put him further up that order and into that striking range of Uthman Badmus and the other, top 10 individuals.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to see how the rest of the season kind of shakes out, because it does look like with the way the points are scored and stuff like that, we do run a bit of not necessarily kind of a sorting order problem. Like pros, when they really kind of get intermixed with the GT4 AMs, they tend to lose out pretty big on the point totals. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of interested to see what happens as the season goes on. I know we're going to have some folks that have, at least one individual who has changed from the GT4 AM to the GT4 Pro category with,
Yes.
I believe that's Kyle Potter.
That is.
So that's going to be interesting. And so we'll look at that here in a moment. But to the GT4 AM category.
Yes. And Christopher Blue, I believe, heads that up with Sean Sullivan about 6 points behind him, and Corey Lobner at 59 points to round out that podium. A little bit more spread out here. I think, again, that whole couple good races here, couple good races there really sets it apart, especially with the way the points are scored for GT4 Pro and GT4 AM. I think we'll see, for those that are finishing, I think, well, that disparity of point distribution will get, I think, a little bit either larger or smaller as depending on how they finish.
Yeah. And I'm just looking right now at this, and Logan Branson in there with 55 points, striking distance, and Corey Lobner, and really not far out of a shot with even Sean Sullivan or Christopher Blue. So Logan Branson coming into 2025 season 1 looking like he's going to try and make a statement and surge up maybe into that podium spot. Same deal with him and John Newman.
Yes.
John Newman, Eduardo Zamora, definitely some big time contention could still happen in GT4 AM for the podium spots.
Absolutely.
And we've got I'm going to try and say it. Is it Gabu? Hello, sir. Hope I said it correctly. Never want to get your name wrong, so anytime I mess it up, feel free to absolutely poke me in the ribs over it. Yes. Absolutely. But glad to see you in chat, sir. Hope you have a good race tonight. GT4 AM stuff, though. What are your thoughts so far on kind of how the season's going so far for the GT4 AM guys?
I think much like last season, this will be the one I'm going to be very excited about as the season progresses, because all the tight knit, position battles that we have available to us. We're talking about Logan Branson, John Newman, Eduardo Zamora all being within 2 points of each other. But you go a little bit further down the order. There's all these people who have, one drop race or, they're 2 drop races, and those haven't been factored into the point totals yet. And that'll be very interesting to see when that gets factored in, how the points shake up and how people, will go up or down the order depending on what points get dropped.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I think that'll be very interesting to see these tight battles for all the positions. I think nobody's really too far from anybody else in this. If you look, further down the order in 10th and 11th, or 11th and 12th with Sam, I want to say Racicott, I think is how we decided on, and Brandon Potts. Both of them 1 point away. One good race for Brandon, one less good. And really, Brandon just has to finish above Simon, excuse me. And then they are, they're either at the same point total or Brandon Potts has gone ahead. I think we are seeing our first group of GT4s hit the track here. I'm going to not do that way. I'm going to do it that way, but let's see here. Hop over to that. Look at.
We will get some data here in a moment as cars head out on track. Stephen Wallace in the Buckies. Aston Martin taking to the track.
Yes. We will see how he fares on. It's GT4. They have open qualifying split by class between GT4 Pro, GT4 AM, and then LMP3 afterwards at about the 20-minute mark, if I'm remembering that correctly.
Yeah. So with the GT4s, it will be mixed class on track at the same time. GT4 Pro, GT4 AM on track at the same time, and then we will go to the LMP3s. But yeah, Stephen Wallace taking it away for us to get us started here at Charlotte Roval. Low light out on track. I can't remember if this is one of those tracks that actually gets the speedway lamps turned on at night.
I don't know. I think it might just be the clouds because I believe the time of day is still pretty early.
Yeah. It also, yeah, you're right. It could be the clouds.
Because this new
so that's going to be interesting. So getting some cool temperatures could factor into tire wear because we are going to have, if I remember correctly, I believe we're going to have a bit of a change in the fuel consumption for these cars this week.
While we're looking that up, let's ride along with Steven as he gets his first flyer done. I think this is the right one.
Yeah.
One that'll work.
Going into this infield section here, I love the technical nature of Charlotte. We were talking about this at the start of the broadcast, especially with the elevation change. It definitely can create some odd moments with traffic. Onto the super speedway section now. Going to open the tap on the Aston Martin GT4. Yes, darkness approaches into the chicane section here. He's going to be very aggressive on the curbs.
I feel like you kind of have to be in order to get a good time here. From what I've seen of all the GT4 running and LMP3s, you hit those, you just kind of slam the curbs and hope for the best.
The LMP3s in particular could be pretty spicy watching them do it.
Yeah. Those are the final chicane to wrap out the lap.
Just watching him hop it. Hilarious.
Sets 3 purple sectors, or 2 purple sectors and 2 green, as Ethan Hamlet trades the 2 purple and the 2 green.
Good stuff.
That lap, I think, was invalidated for Ethan Hamlet, though. I'm not seeing his name on the board. Let's see. Let's run along with Sean Sullivan for a moment. I think he just finished his first flyer.
Did want to give a shout out. We did get some follows while we were talking. So see, since I'm not running the stream stuff, I can pay attention to that stuff now too. We've got Invicta 97 and I believe that is Yavra 23. Thank you both for the follow. We did have Bubbly Wiz earlier today hit us with the follow as well. You guys are cool. So Gian's saying the game volume's a little bit low.
A little bit low. Okay. Well, we can change that. That's easy enough to adjust. Then we'll make it too high, and then we'll bring it back down. So.
There goes Jaden gifting a tier 1 sub to Gob.
Yes, if you put the whole car in them, I think it will just break your front splitter, and I don't think that'll be a good time.
No, it's not going to be a good time for anybody. Not going to be a good time for anyone. But, yeah, we've got some quality laps coming in. 21.6 for Ethan Hamlet. Tanner Schiffner in second with the 22.196. Stephen Wallace with the 22.327. In GT4 AM, Corey Lobner on top with that 22.659. Bruno Clemente with a 22.909. And Sean Sullivan with the 23.122.
Absolutely. Pretty close lap times I'm seeing here from the GT4, both Pro and AM. Obviously, Ethan's kind of a little bit on his own, but there's not a whole lot of room between. Oh, that's I think a John Newman that was in the wall there. 122.2, and then pretty much less than a second between P2 and P10, P11 in GT4 between Pro and AM.
Yeah. It is in the Pro category in particular, I'm seeing some interesting margins that looking pretty tight. You separate Ethan Hamlet out of the wash there, and P2 through 6. Looks like it's still really in it.
Mm-hmm. And they are both all setting, I think, a little bit faster times now on their second flyers. With the 121.2 is a second faster. Ooh. We'll probably get a fair amount of that where it'll play the car hitting wall sound, even though on their sims they are not hitting that wall.
Yeah.
The sim on our side will extrapolate that as they have made contact with the wall, but we're not seeing anything come across the incident counter saying they have. So,
yes, we are coming to you live in 1080p, 60 frames per second. Finicini is running the back end portion of this stream, so hopefully we will not have any disconnects, so we can bring you guys a race from start to finish in one stream. A significant improvement.
It's entirely possible.
Like track limits racing, we're evolving. We are almost at our final form.
I don't know that we're gonna. Well, I don't know. I guess I don't know what a final form would look like. We're definitely evolving, as are most of our people on track as they're getting faster times. For a good portion. Good portion of that.
For me personally, the final form is always going to be lasers. Like,
okay.
Do I have lasers or not? If I do not have lasers, I'm not in final form.
Tommy Gogan, and I believe that was
one of the pile drivers.
Yep.
That was, I believe, Mr. Matt Pile in the number 12.
Yes.
Showing us that pit entry going to be awkward.
Yes, especially if any multi-class has to happen in that pit entry.
Mm-hmm.
It's wide, but it's not exactly the most stable. Somebody who hasn't set a lap time, though, Henry Garcia.
Yep, Henry Garcia out here trying to put one on the board before the LMP3s head out.
Yep, I think he's got about 3 minutes to do it in. Christopher Blue also, I think, looking to set a faster time, but those yellow sectors or orange sectors aren't really going to showcase that it's any better than his previous laps.
Yeah.
Does he have on the board in general? He does. At a 123. He does set a faster one at a 123.4. But I don't think it's quite the red numbers he was looking to hit, sitting behind Sean Sullivan, Corey Lobner, and a lot of the other GT4 Pro. I think he might be the first GT4 AM, though. Ah, excuse me, Real Clemente.
Let's see where Henry can post a time and get one on the board.
I think he is on his flyer now. So see where he ends up.
Yes, the stream does look, the quality does look quite nice, Finn. So thank you for doing this, and
Absolutely,
it's definitely improving the show for everybody. You don't have to experience this on rural Arkansas internet, where it's it's like managed by like a rice well pump going into like one of those old like water mills.
Oh,
like it's like how my internet runs basically.
Oh, it moved me on to somebody I wasn't on. Well, take me back.
It's SDK can do that sometimes.
Yeah, it's SDK. Take me back to Henry Garcia. I want to see him finish his lap out. He's got 2 green sectors. That's always a good thing to see. At least you're going faster than the time you said on the out lap.
Yep.
Where does he find himself?
23.6.
It's not too bad. 0.6 to find there, but I'm not sure that he's fully done setting laps.
Yeah, he's within striking distance. Christopher Blue, Sean Sullivan, they're not immune. Henry could maybe pump out another one.
Well, remember, Henry is in GT4 Pro, so Ryan Buchanan is the next person that he's been fighting for.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I do love that Manco livery, though. It's a great one.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Something about that specific picture. My iRacing has decided it doesn't like that one. Interesting. got this
Take
one.
a look at the data here. Yeah, Henry is just the only one.
Yep.
Looks like the LMP3s are getting ready to head out on track.
Yep,
Anthony
I see
Newman, Wesley
some
Griffith.
outlaps from a couple people.
Yep.
Let's see who's. Yep. Scott Fleming. Right aboard with our champion pole sitter. Or, yeah, championship. P1. As he does his outlap. It's so concerning to me watching LMP3s go over the final chicane here.
Mm-hmm.
Just how much airtime they have.
Yep. Yep. Just gonna Tony Hawk right over that final chicane and score some sick points, get a fast time.
Yes. Henry Garcia did manage a 122.6 to end off his run. So good finish for him. We'll finish riding along by side with Scott Fleming as he finishes out his fast lap.
Go ahead, sir.
I was going to say that new lighting model making everything really shiny. I don't know whether that's supposed to be shiny or not, but it's giving it all a pretty good shine.
The new lighting model is for immersion purposes. It's like, like light and glare is something that exists in the real world. Let's put it literally everywhere.
Yeah, let's put it everywhere and then make it incredibly dark for any sort of heavy rain weather.
Yeah.
I was calling a BMW M2CS race at Fuji in pouring rain, and I almost thought it was a night race with how dark it was.
Yeah.
Oh, just taking up all that sausage curbing to try to get a lap time in.
14-0.
14-0, but Jaden Ledbetter has three purples. Just at a 112.87.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's some pace.
Mm-hmm.
That is some pace. I know Scott's got an 11 in him. He did hit an 11.909 in free practice.
That is very true. So we'll let it take us around. Gian Cardoso on the end of a hot lap. See where that puts him.
Thomas Castellani is cheering on Tommy, and he doesn't know how, but he's putting money on him.
Well,
good stuff. Good stuff.
Money on Tommy Kogan. I think you are putting your money in, I think, a good place because Tommy is pretty consistent. I think putting himself on P4 will set him up for some pretty good success, at least in the heat, and then that always seems to roll over pretty well into the feature racing.
Yep. I think Tommy is just another one of those who's been with us from kind of the inception of the sports car series at Track Limits, and just very diligent worker when it comes to racecraft. Kind of comes into a weekend pretty much knowing, having a game plan, having a strategy, and majority of the time it's the right one, the one to be on.
Yeah, I'd say he did very well with that fuel saving victory last week, or last time we were out here a couple weekends ago over at Twin Ring, or Mobility Resort Motegi as it's now known. So always good strategy calls, I feel like I hear from Tommy Kogan in terms of racing.
Yeah, just looking at the data right now, Jaden Ledbetter still finding time on the track. So Scott Fleming in Sector 3. They're trading dominance on this Roval circuit here. Kind of curious to see how this is going to play out for them as the race goes on. Like in terms of pace, it does look like Scott Fleming had a bit of a scuffed Sector 4, and is going to have to live with some improvements, but not really upsetting the apple cart for Jaden Ledbetter.
No, 3/10 the difference between the two. After 2 better laps, but not perfect in either instance. Wesley Griffith getting done with a 1:13.7. I think we have Gene Cardoso. Once again, kicked me back to a scenic cam. So forgive me.
I just got to wonder how the pace difference in LMP3 right now seems to be a little bit wider than we were seeing in GT4. I got to wonder, especially for the prototypes, how much of this race is about survival. Traffic management, keeping your nose clean, maybe raw pace can provide something a little bit extra, but I do feel like surviving at Charlotte is going to be pretty much like item number 1 on a successful strategy to like score some points at Charlotte.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, I feel like it's very much the same kind of mentality you go into, I think, Daytona, but a lot of the other more busy racing where you have a lot of traffic for a good portion of the race. It is all survival, traffic management, like you said. And I think that'll play a very heavy factor into how well people do here today is the ability to survive and not lose too much time in trying to manage traffic. And I think it goes both ways for both LMP3s as well as GT4s and how they manage getting through traffic before it eats up too much of their time. Gian Cardoso parking it.
I did want to give a shout out to FC Botanica or Potencia. Thanks for the follow. Probably just butchered your name. Appreciate you. And thanks to everybody who's joining us for the show tonight. We got 23 people in chat hanging out as we are getting ready to wind down qualifying here at round 4 in Charlotte. And then we will get on with it. 90 minutes here at Charlotte. We do have the heat and feature format on offer tonight. That's going to be I think that's going to be a fun format for this race in particular.
Gab is still out there finding time. I think he's our last one on the circuit, much like Henry Garcia was for GT4. But super cool to see all of you out here. Thank you for joining us.
Did want to I didn't actually get to this when we were getting ready to set up for the qualifying stuff. But I did want to mention that we are seeing a reduced fuel load for both categories by 5% for all cars. And that is to make the fuel saving strategy less about not impossible, but not as deterministic as it's been at a few of the tracks that we've seen this season already. So with that 5% drop in the fuel loads available, so I believe that would put the LMP3s at 55%, and that would put the GT4s at 35%, if I remember correctly. So. I think that is going to be interesting because, again, it does make the single fuel runs possible. But I do think it's going to be more track dependent now.
Yes, absolutely. I don't think it's going to be as universal as it was, like we saw at Mobility Resort Motegi. So I think it'll be interesting to see those that can pull it off, but I think it'll be very much if the track allows them to, as much as it is actual just fuel saving.
Yeah.
Gabe Chavez dethroning Jaden Ledbetter as our pole sitter and cutting through the chicane on, I think, what I believe is going to be his in-lap.
Yeah, he looks like he's already back. He might be backing off a little bit already.
Yes. Yep. Rigged recount. Well, a 112.315 is going to be 9/100th faster. 9 thousandths faster than the 112.324 of Jaden Ledbetter, who is believing that this is rigged, according to him in the chat.
Demand a recount.
So, with that, I think we're getting to grid. Let's see here. We ready to showcase the grid here?
Absolutely. So, front row, man, Chavez in the 729, putting it on top with that 12.315, 9/1000ths of a second between him and Jaden Ledbetter. Front row of the grid. We've got Scott Fleming, Gian Cardoso, second row, followed by Mark Coyne and Anthony Newman on the third row of the grid. Wesley Griffith is going to be racing alongside Alex Velasco in eighth spot. Taking a look, we may have skipped more than just a few. There we go. All right, so Ethan Hamlet, he's on top of the GT4 Pro with that. I forgot what the top time was, but he's 8.9 seconds off of the LMP3s. But alongside him, Tanner Schiffner. Tanner has been putting in some really good performances and has been showing some real solid pace in GT4 Pro. Ready to see what he can do here at the Roval. Bruno Clemente in third alongside Stephen Wallace. Then we've got Tommy Kogan and Kyle Potter, who's been upgraded into GT4 Pro. So it's going to be an interesting format for Kyle to adjust to. He's racing some different people. Henry Garcia and Corey Lobner going to be racing alongside each other, followed in 17th, 18th with Matt Pyle and William Lewis. Ryan Duquesne in the 6'4" for Pile Driving Racing alongside Sean Sullivan. Christopher Blue and Dylan Hendricks. They're going to line up alongside one another. And then I believe, I think I see Eduardo Zamora and Logan Bronson, or Wookie OH, if you want to go check him out on Twitch TV right now. John Newman, Brandon Potts, followed by Thomas DiArcangelo, Andrew Monroe, and then who I believe is an out-of-place LMP3 driver, and then Simon Rascott in 29th position.
Yes. All right. So we have the grid getting formed behind the safety car.
Yep.
And they're going to do a full pace lap of it coming out.
It'll be a short one. Charles, it's a short one.
Is it?
It's a pretty short pace lap.
Well, it's a short pace lap in general, but it's not a shortened lap versus the regular Charlotte Roval lap.
That's correct. That's correct. Okay. It is not the starting on the backstretch that you get sometimes, but because of the nature of this track, it's a short lap normally, so it's a short pace lap behind the safety car. The one thing that I think is going to be interesting once we get going to green is these LMP3s are not going to be on the warmest rubber, and they're going to get ready to go into turn 1, turn 2. And I think, especially when you're racing offline here in this 2x2 formation at the start, we could see some lockups. It's going to be interesting to see who can kind of keep it together going into T1. I think Job is just going to have to be just basically ready to like punch it and try and catch Jaden off guard. And then Gian and Scott, which Scott's kind of a little bit out of place right now as they're getting ready to go into the chicane section. But that doesn't really matter once he gets to the oval part. That's where it's going to be all down to trying to be as close legally to the car as possible. And then, it's all about gauging the jump, because once that safety car comes in, if I'm Chavez in the 729. As soon as that safety car is out of my line of sight, I'm just going to punch it and run. Try and hold that inside line, getting ready to go in T1, and just hold on for dear life. Kind of same deal, I think, with the GT4s. GT4s, I think, will probably behave a little bit more on the cold rubber. But we're getting ready to go. Let's see what Gob's going to do.
So they're coming through the final chicane. Definitely makes it for an interesting start as they gun it under the green flag.
Oh, I think there was a little bit of a bump on the inside on the exit of the chicane when he punched it, and Jaden timed it perfectly to get the pass done right as they crossed the line. and then going into T1, and Jaden is just streaking off. So Gob's going to have to get it put back together, stay in front of Scott Fleming, who managed to get around Gian Cardoso, and then we're going to see how that goes down. How are the GT4s start?
Just past the start-finish line, so let's catch up with them and where they have started. Ethan Hamlet here is leading them away. I think had a very clean start. No issues there. And Tanner Schiffner, Stephen Wallace zippering up behind him, along with Bruno Clemente and Kyle Potter. Bruno Clemente, I think, is going to be an interesting one. We'll see probably also move to GT4 Pro. He's still a GT4 AM, and he's holding it on his own there. I think I saw a crash from Logan Branson. Is that a real one, or is that a... Let's take a look. Ready to hop back?
Yeah, go for it.
Let's see.
Take us back. Let's see what happened.
Let's see. This is the start. Seems pretty clean, at least initially. Oh, definitely gets
there it was.
spun.
Yep, gets sideways. Oh, and then the rear end's gone.
Yes. Oh,
now is he able?
I think he's able to keep driving. It definitely looks like there is something wrong with that rear suspension, though.
Yeah. That right there could be a case for a fast repair, and then getting on his way. Because again, really going to try and focus on getting into the finishing order if he can. Maybe move up a little bit, maybe gain a spot or two for the end of this race to get himself set up for that feature race that's coming here in less than 19 minutes.
Yes.
What do we got going on here with these LMP3s? I see Mark Coyne.
Yeah, pretty tight battle for 6th with Mark Coyne. I was trying to figure out what happened. He has had something go on where he has now fallen down the order from where he started up in 5th. I think he just had a rough break of the final chicane or one of the turns in there where you can easily lose it a little bit and lose some time there. So we'll see if he's able to recover. It looks like he's getting a pretty good draft off of Alex Velasco in front of him going into the final chicane here.
Into the final chicane, he looks like he is well positioned, although it does look like whenever he goes into the chicane, I don't know if it's like just his line in particular, he definitely seems to lose ground relative to the rest of the LMP3s, although it did look, that could be netcode on our end, like client being placed in the wrong spot, but it did look like Alex Velasco did get a nice touch on the wall on the exit of turn 1.
Let's see here if I can maneuver some cameras so we can get a better angle on that. He is, in fact, damaged. Let's see the other side of him here.
It looked like a pretty flush shot. I don't think we're looking at something that could have like broken front or rear suspensions. Man, the Ethan Hamlet punching in a 21.8, and we're only a few laps into this race. So Ethan. Pretty in normal fashion, looks like. Alex Velasco getting real racy.
Yeah, I think it's getting some pace there, and definitely trying to find the last couple tenths and a good exit to overtake Wesley Griffith in front of him. Gonna jump down to a fun battle, it looks like, between Tommy Kogan and a whole pack of cars over in GT4 Pro and GT4 AM with Corey Lobner right behind him.
Yeah, Tommy Kogan currently sitting in 2nd in GT4 Pro in the points. Really trying to use that consistency that he's known for to kind of keep him in touch. And currently sitting in 5th. Kyle Potter seems like he's already taken the race to Tommy. I think it's going to be, so right now it looks like Schiffner and Wallace, and then Potter and Kogan. Although it does look like Garcia is going to join the party.
Yes, he is not far behind Corey Lobner, and I think if he can get around him and get into that fight.
Some very, very good stuff right now. I was going to say, sir, so on your SDK, over if you look at the timing tower widget,
yes,
would you pick any one of the squares under flag and set it to interval? Let's see if we can get that pulled up.
Yes, I can. There we go. There's your interval. I'm going to swap
Yeah,
that
so we've got
for best time.
Yeah.
Let's do that. We have 2 intervals now. Oh, let's go back to 1. There we are.
So with that right now, we can see a little bit about how these battles, especially in GT4 Pro, are tight.
Absolutely.
Very, very tight.
Very tight. Tanner Schiffner has fallen down the order. I think he had a bad exit out of one of these turns because he got dispatched by Steven Wallace. I want to continue with that real quick. It looked pretty weird to me by comparison, especially when he was later passed by Bruno Clemente. So just a dived on the inside. I think they might have just rattled him and got him off his pace.
Might have rattled him to get him off his pace, but also I'm like, the way he's like moving slow, I wonder if he's dealing with like some sort of like track cut that he's got to clear.
That is also
he just
possible.
like he just falls away.
Absolutely. Right. Well, with all that, and Jaden Ledbetter was being hounded by Gabe Chavez, but I think that gap has opened up as they're getting into their first bit of multi-class traffic.
Yeah, the traffic here is going to be very challenging to manage. The arrival speeds of some of these LMP3s, especially in the twisty bits on the GT4 cars, is going to be really tough to. And you can already see how the GT4s are moving around because they're racing one another on this oval section, and the LMP3s have to find a clean way around.
Yeah, it's one of the things I think I find. Oh, it's
wow.
All right. Well, Gab is definitely looking for that low line.
This is this is a very I'm in danger.
Yes. But with him managing that traffic, as I saw tires up ahead and some smoke.
Yeah, that's some smoke. I think we have ourselves a dead car.
Let's go see. I think it was Corey Lobner is what I got on my relative. Got a bunch of
Corey gets a touch.
Well, that was with Tanner Schiffner, and then he gets dragged into it by getting loose on the exit, trying to avoid that crash.
So that's going to be a tow for Corey.
Yep.
So he's over to the box.
Tanner Schiffner, I think, is still running. You can see him by the rear shot there as we're still on board with Bruno Clemente, Gab Chavez. Prior to that, but he's still looking pretty hurt. Scott Fleming, right behind Gab now.
Yeah.
Gabby. You see all these dots on the track map that I've pulled up, just starting to commingle as all the LMP3s are trying to make their first bout through traffic.
The traffic really has neutralized Gab's shot at Jaden Ledbetter right now. That's 3.3 seconds. On the interval, and it looks like it's continuing to grow, and that's actually keeping Scott Fleming close. But the GT4 traffic, it's going to take a little bit for the LMP3s to move their way through it, because I mean, there's just so many technical portions on this track, and it's a short lap that, I mean, it's not a long wait, and you're already running into another GT4 in another part that's tight and hard to navigate.
Absolutely. And that end, with how spread out the GT4s are already getting, you're kind of almost running into one more and more frequently. It's like when you get into basically the second hour of the Daytona 24, at least in iRacing, where we don't have a whole lot of yellows to rebunch up the field and get some clean racing. It's kind of you're more waiting for that next chance you get, and you're kind of waiting for it to show on your relative that you're kind of like, oh, I have a good 20 seconds of nobody, thank goodness. But not far behind Scott is Gian Cardoso as well.
Yeah, Gian is navigating the traffic quite well. He is keeping Scott Fleming honest on track right now. So with the accidents that we've seen so far, when I look at the data, it looks like we've only had one car that is potentially out of the race. Could just be that they're not using a fast repair. And that's Corey Lobner in the 41 Mercedes. Tanner Schiffner, currently 23rd in the overall behind Sean Sullivan, but in front of Logan Branson. And Logan Branson's actually already made up a couple spots after getting involved in that incident in turn 1 at the start of the race.
I think Tanner took a fast repair there. I did see him dip into pit lane on my event logger. So I think he's definitely made up some positions there, getting lucky with keeping his nose clean after it. That whole group of cars that were battling earlier still are going at it. Ryan Buchanan, Eduardo Zamora, John Newman, and Brendan Potts are all within a pretty close margin of each other by the looks of it on my relative.
It looks like we've got, I'm going to try to pronounce this. Is that Lucaccini? In chat, looks like he's rooting for Gob and Team SRRT. So glad to see you in chat. Thanks for joining us. Here at round 4, Charlotte Roval multi-class racing on what I think is probably going to be, I'm going to go out and hot take here. I think this is probably going to be the toughest challenge for the sports car series this season, just because the nature of this track, the unfamiliarity, especially with like multi-class racing.
Yeah.
I think it's just going to be a tough one. This is going to be a survival race. It's going to be very interesting to see how many cars we end with, if I'm honest.
Yes, especially as we get into that longer 70-minute feature race. It's still going to be interesting to see how they all work through this. I think I have Wesley Griffiths, Mark Coyne, and Anthony Newman all together racing for position here that are pretty close to each other. Right along with Mark Coyne.
And that was navigating around race leader Ethan Hamlet in GT4 Pro. So
yeah.
That was interesting. Mark Coyne on board. Man, I love this shot.
Yeah. I think I saw an Alex Velasco has crashed. We'll take a look at that here in a second.
Jaden's leading the race by 5 seconds here at Charlotte Roval. Jumps into chat and says, Chicago says hi. I think Chicago's going to be tough. I just don't know if it's going to be tougher than Charlotte.
I think with how Chicago is similar in a street circuit, I think it's the similar kind of concept of it's one that we don't race a whole lot in sports car racing. Regardless of, the technicality of it, I think both have that same, unfamiliarity for most people who don't go out of their way to go drive Charlotte Roval or spend time in one of the NASCAR series that also goes there. And even they do a different version, if I remember correctly, at this point.
Yeah. I do see Alex Velasco in the pits, down in 8th position now.
Take a look at he crashed, I think, a little while ago. So let's take a look at that. Oh, I think him already after a crash. Maybe.
Oh, no. That is
it's a drifted
slide.
And
then he
gets tagged.
That
by
right
Steve
there.
Wallace.
The relative is your friend. Oh, and Tommy Cogan gets tapped.
Tapped by.
But that looks like he might have survived it, though. I didn't see who it was that he came into contact with.
Kyle Potter, I believe that was. We can go back and look at it. And Scott Fleming has crashed. Let's take a look at this one real quick. We'll hop back to live.
Scott Fleming. Oh, see a twitch there. What happened here?
Oh,
and then,
and
he just gets loose, and then the back end just pops off into the crowd. Somebody gets a souvenir.
I think the catch fence might have caught it before personnel did, thankfully. But
yeah,
absolutely gonna try to keep driving it without a clip.
He's gonna have to. Limp that thing back to the pits.
I believe so. John Newman, also the latest in our list of individuals that have crashed. A big 11-second gap between Gab Chavez, and Jaden Ledbetter. And this field is getting very spread out very quickly.
Yep. Tough circuits usually tend to distribute the field pretty fast. Whoa. that is very do a kick flip in an LMP3.
Yes. Jaden Ledbetter. Oh boy. Jaden Ledbetter crashed. Take a look at this. See what happened.
Did you just get a touch on the wall? I think he probably just got a
brush. Oh no! I think he gets brought into an incident with John Newman.
John Newman gets wrecked out, and then that's so unfortunate for Jaden.
Yep. And he is having
And that was a
That's-
shot.
Yeah, that was a shot. That front, I think that front right is not turning at all, so he's not able to go any further and jumps to the pits. Oh man.
So the Charlotte attrition. Yes, I hear that Chicago says hi. Charlotte says, still here.
Yeah. Charlotte proving its point on why it believes it should be considered the most difficult track in the season's calendar.
Yeah.
Getting pretty close there.
The curse continued. Yeah, that is another thing too. Jaden Ledbetter, ladies and gentlemen, involved in a crash in a sports car series multi-class racing event in 2025. Actually, I don't know if it's necessarily. I think it's just 2025 in general.
Yeah. I don't know. It's specific to sports car. Sean Sullivan looked like he had a good run up to turn one there, right behind Eduardo Zamora.
This could be the big move and shake race, like in terms of point standings across the three. Oh, and there's an AMG into the wall. He's going to come back on track.
Brandon Potts right in front of
And
him.
I believe Sean Sullivan, he's going to playing it cool.
Oh.
Playing it cool.
The lens glare on definitely something we
Yep.
probably should. Oh, that looked like a pretty chunky hit
Yep.
for Brandon Potts. I don't know if that was netcode or if that was an actual one.
We got some LMP3s moving here. And so with Chavez getting updated to first place here, Gian Cardoso moves up into second, which is great points for Gian in his campaign, currently sitting in second in the LMP3 category. And we got some more GT4s over here doing GT4 things. We got Sean Sullivan trying to chase down Eduardo Zamora and William Lewis.
Yes, and Tanner Schiffner also caught up in that mix as a GT4 Pro member. Behind them is, I believe that is Anthony Newman trying to make his way through the pack. I see Gabe Chavez. Oh my goodness, this might be we were talking about this being a war of attrition. Gabe Chavez also being marked as having been involved in a crash. And it looks like he also gets.
Oh, that is unfortunate. Like I don't know if they thought that the car was clear of the Porsche or what, but that Porsche started backing up just at the absolute wrong possible moment. Relatives. Turn it on.
Yeah.
Turn it on. Leave it on. If the box is too small, they make overlays. You can make it bigger.
What happens here? Just
side to side contact. Now, I think both of them are probably going to survive.
Yes.
And in fact, Velasco just
drives away,
unlocks Formula drift skills and just rights the car.
I think we're going to be seeing a lot of this car is crashed.
Yeah, I think we are. We've got Brandon Potts still showing is in the pits. Dylan Hendricks showing in the pits. We got Chavez, who was having a phenomenal race.
Yeah.
That is so unfortunate.
Chavez having a phenomenal race. Jaden Ledbetter having a phenomenal race up until that point. But really cool to see. And I think it's his second, at least, league race that we've seen. And Anthony Newman in P2. Super cool to see. And the LMP3 field is extremely spread out. So is the GT4 Pro-Am field.
And we're pretty much, I believe, on white flag conditions for Gian Cardoso.
I believe we are.
We got less than 30 seconds left, and he's only just now approaching the chicane on the back stretch.
Yeah, I'm seeing if
we'll see
our friend over in the flag stand waving the white flag for him, or the checkered. So we'll see that one next time he comes by. And this is now the white flag.
Be close.
Looks like.
Yeah, this is gonna be close. So he's gonna cross the line.
Yep. That's a white flag for people.
All right, so white flag it was, just timed perfectly so that Gene could get one more lap in. Only one in LMP3 category that's really taking the fight to anybody is Wesley Griffith taking the fight to Mr. Mark Coyne.
I think
And
Mark Coyne was taking the fight back to Wesley Griffith. I think he had a bit of a rough start and worked his way back up. A wonderful P3 finish in the heat for him if he's able to keep his nose clean, which I think has been the name of the game. Something we talked about him doing very well prior to this. And it still rings true.
Mark Coyne, also a racer who's had a bit of bad luck this season, in at least one round that I know of, but hanging tough in the LMP3 series right now, getting some good points, some good bonus points from this heat race, and then going into, if he can finish in this order, going into the feature race in third space is going to be pretty good. Where's our race leader at, Mr. Gian Cardoso?
I think he has just crossed, or just about to cross the start finish line.
They're taking that heat race, Gian Cardoso.
There we go. Flashing the lights.
Excellent result for him. And I believe that's going to be Anthony Newman punching in second place with Mark Coyne in third, Wesley Griffith in fourth place. And we've got Ethan Hamlet, Tommy Cogan, Matt Pyle, and Henry Garcia, your top four in GT4 AM. Christopher Blue continuing to score top points in GT4 AM with Bruno Clemente and Eduardo Zamora being your top three in GT4 AM. So interesting stuff. We got most of the field crossing the line, and then once we get those results up, we can show the folks at home what the tail of the tape was.
Once we get there, I'm back to the drone scenic, which is what they have it set for automatically, which I'm... Give me the other scenic. Oh, well. All right.
Yeah, so relative to the heat race format, there's 15 points for first place, 12 points for second, then 10 points for third. And then it distributes down 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 all the way. Only the top 10 in each car class will actually register those points. And then taking a look at tail to tape. There it is. Ian Cardoso. That is the Mojo Dojo Casa House Auto Sport Motorsport R. As it clips off. On top with Anthony Newman and Mark Coyne rounding out the top three. That right there is a really good result for those three individuals. Mm-hmm. Scott Fleming in fifth. That's going to net him 6 bonus points, but he still does have the 70-minute feature race to try and recover and maximize his point finish for round number 4. Jaden Ledbetter is looking for any luck, folks. If you happen to reach into your couch cushion and find some luck, send it on to Mr. Jaden Ledbetter because he needs it. Seriously. Absolutely. I don't know. Do you break mirrors for fun, Jaden, or walk under ladders? I know. I know with your job you're going to be around a bunch of ladders, but just seriously stop walking under them, and avoid black cats. Yeah, so that's LMP3 field. What do we got over here in GT4 Pro?
In GT4, Ethan Hamlet is going to be our winner of the heat, followed closely by Tommy Cogan, Matt Pyle rounding out the podium. Solid finishes, kind of something we were talking about as the closing the points gap between him and Colin Johnson, who I don't think I've seen tonight in this race. Henry Garcia, Kyle Potter, Ryan Buchanan, Stephen Wallace, and Tanner Schiffner round out the GT4 Pro category. Stephen Wallace, definitely a rough race there, getting caught up in an accident with, I believe that was, Alex Velasco, I want to say.
Yeah, that might have been.
Yeah.
Might have been the one.
Early on, putting him a lap down, and Tanner Schiffner in that incident with, I believe, GT4 AM runners.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of GT4 AM, see how they finished the heat.
Yeah, Christopher Blue fared quite well, finishing out, managing to catch Bruno Clemente there at the end, only 1.5 seconds between them. So top finish for Christopher Blue. That's good points haul for him in his championship campaign. Bruno Clemente also still continuing to impress in GT4 AM category with Eduardo Zamora in third. Logan Branson had such a wonderful setup for the quali, but that turn one incident really shoved him to the back of the overall. And for him to claw back and get sixth, ending up third row when we get ready to start this feature race. I mean, he's only one row back from where he started.
Yeah.
So really good comeback for Logan. Hats off. Thomas D'Arcangelo in seventh, John Newman, Corey Lobner, and Dylan Hendricks round out the 10 in GT4 AM. Oh no, we got Simon.
Yep.
Although Simon doesn't look like he might have actually turned a lap.
I'm not 100% he did either. I don't remember seeing him at all in this heat, so we'll see if that rings true as well for the feature here. But technically, he finished 11th.
Yep.
So that takes us, I think, it will take us to the grid for the feature here in a moment.
Yep. So the warm up's still going down as these dudes are getting ready to start our 70-minute feature race. Getting geared up here in the box. I think Charlotte kind of like have you ever seen two leaders back to back get wrecked out? I have. It happens. It does happen. And tracks like Charlotte are conducive for that sort of thing happening because again, it's one of those things where it's like it's a straight up tough circuit. It's a short lap, it's a fast lap. You got walls, it's an oval. The infield section's got elevation change, very awkward corners, LMP3 GT4 pace differential. It's just a recipe for things going wrong. So in a way, it's I think a little bit less about like your raw pace on track as much as it is about your keen awareness of where your car is relative to others. That I think is going to really work things out for the folks that are racing here in round 4. Finn, your takeaways from the heat race?
I think you said a big part of them, but I think it's going to be. I think it really refines what we've seen initially as the kind of what's going to be important here is the whole. Realistically, it's going to be everything we need. Sorry, I'm trying to also grab the grid. Consistency is going to be the thing that I think carries anybody who does well here to the finish. And that's just being safe, putting in the lap times, not making, overzealous position grabs and shooting for, something more than looking for that end goal and not looking for that short-term position.
Let's run down the first 3 rows of each class real quick, because this warm up's gonna this outlap's gonna finish pretty quick.
Yes.
So Gian Cardoso on that front row alongside Anthony Newman because they had a stellar finish inside the heat race. Mark Coyne, Wesley Griffith, second row gave Scott Fleming, followed by Alex Velasco, Jaden Ledbetter, Gob Chavez. And I believe that is going to round out the LMP3s. In GT4 Pro, we've got Ethan Hamlet, Tommy Kogan, Matt Pyle, Henry Garcia. So that's your first 2 rows, followed by Kyle Potter, Christopher Blue, Bruno Clemente, Brian Buchanan. And then we've got that Eduardo Zamora, Sean Sullivan. Stephen Wallace and Tanner Schiffner.
Yes.
Followed by Eduardo Zamora, Sean Sullivan. William Lewis is going to be alongside Logan Bronson. Thomas D'Arcangelo going to be alongside John Newman. 25th is Corey Lobner. 26th is Brandon Potts. And I believe we've got Dylan Hendricks and Dylan Hendricks on the last row of the grid. Still have yet to see Andrew Monroe or Simon Ruscott on track. And they're going to get ready to start moving around the field here in a moment as we get ready for our 70-minute feature race here at the Charlotte Roval. 22 degrees is the air temperature, 23 degrees on track, 60% humidity. We do have some cloudy skies. We are seeing some dynamic light shift here in the sim.
Yep.
Gian Cardoso is going to be leading the field into turn 1, Finn. I think that's going to be first for us.
I think it will be. I think it'll be a very exciting first for us. Let me see if I can do this cool thing. I cannot do this cool thing. I want to do the cool thing, but it wouldn't let me. Because I can't select the pace car.
It do be like that sometimes.
I wanted to do a cool, rear cam shot from the pace car to showcase the field, and
Yep.
SDK said no, so I'm giving up on it.
Yep.
So,
one thing you could do if you focus on Gian Cardoso and switch to rear chase.
Oh, I could do that.
Might get a good shot of the field, maybe. I don't know. You could always try it.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Live. Yeah, it's not too bad.
Or we could do
Gian Cardoso in the 42.
Yeah.
Leading the field away in LMP3. And look at that. We've already got Mark Coyne compressing the field up, making a little bit of a statement, letting Gian know that, hey, bud, I'm gunning for you when the lights go out.
Definitely very cool to see the lighting model add in the lights from all the internal lights that go towards the track.
It is, although it is a little bit awkward constantly watching them toggle on and off in the reflection.
Yeah.
But, DirectX 11.
Yep. Only can do so much.
What are you going to do about it? In the GT4 field, Ethan Hamlin's going to be alongside Tommy Kogan. I suspect if Ethan's going to be kind of doing a little bit of his Mr. Consistency on the race start, I think it's going to be more about Tommy trying to make sure that he can keep Matt Pyle and Henry Garcia, Kyle Potter behind as we get ready to go in turn 1. Christopher Blue, I think, has his hands full alongside Bruno Clement.
I definitely agree. I think it's been the tightest battle I think we saw for most of the heat race, and I think it'll be true with Bruno Clemente has amazing pace, put him pretty high up the GT4 Pro order in before the heat in qualifying, and I think if he can keep that heat, that pace that he had there, I think it'll net him some pretty good points. It'll also put him, Christopher Blue, into some pretty hot waters as we get ready to go here.
Yep, getting ready to go into the final chicane as we're getting ready to start this lap out, and Gian punches it as soon as the pace car's in, and away we go. What a good start for him. Good start. Just really well put together on him getting the jump on Anthony Newman. What does it look like from Ethan's perspective as we're getting ready to go? They are pace cars in, Ethan holding the field.
And then
he goes immediately when they get to the chicane. And we've already got an AMG. I believe that's Matt Pyle on the spin corner exit. Tommy Kogan's going to get away. Let's see if we can see what that looked like again. I think Matt just got a little bit too much of the curb. Yeah, I don't see contact. I just see maybe enough of the car gets unsettled. 70 minutes, though, ladies and gentlemen, and we've got a lower fuel load for this race. They're going to be running 35% fuel load. So I think the one-stopper for the GT4s might not be in the cards. We're going to have to wait and see. And did you see that LMP3 touch the wall? Was that Anthony Newman?
I think it was, but I also can't tell if it was actually or if it was just the way the sim showed it for us. And his sim is fine. We're riding along with Mark Coyne here as we get through the first lap. Definitely a lot of time to make up for Matt Pyle there. That self-spin, like you said, I think he just also got a little bit too early on the power before the car had settled down any, and it just kicked the rear end out on him.
Yeah.
So the fuel game, I think, is possible, but I think it's going to be a really tight one-stop if that's what they try to do. And that is Anthony definitely in the wall that time.
Yeah, Anthony in the wall. That is not what you want to see. He is going to have an opportunity to maybe jump it into the pits, get a fast repair if he has to. But it does look like the car is drivable. But I say drivable. It does look like it is a bit temperamental.
Well, I think the LMP3s are temperamental on a good day. I think this one's just extra temperamental now that it's been unsettled with that damage that it's got. I don't think it doesn't look like a lot from what we can see here outside of the car, but I may be affecting that handling with that one run. Yep, yeah, definitely.
Oh no, and he manages to. Okay, that was a clean escape.
That was
for a majority of the LMP3 field, because once he yeeted that curb, that was Ethan. It looked like he was in the wall. Don't know if it's for real, folks. The clients can be kind of weird with us sometimes. Gian Cardoso does finish the lap in the lead, but Mark Coyne sets the pace with that 13.535.
Yes, he definitely is closing down the gap there between these two. I'm just going to keep our eyes on it. But further back in the field, Jaden Ledbetter putting the pressure on Scott Fleming with Gabe Chavez not far behind. I think we can make that comeback. See a couple of GT4 crashes. Grab those in a second here and see if Jaden has a good exit out of the infield.
Oh, I'm seeing a crash with Kyle Potter involved. That is probably going to be.
Let's take a look at that.
See what happens here with Kyle Potter trying to get inroads into Tommy Cogan's game, and again, kind of similar to what we saw with Matt Pyle.
Yep.
The tail end slide, and then he's going to just cut the infield section to get back on track to go into turn one. Lines up behind Logan Bronson. He's going to have to do a bit of recovery.
It seems to get away without causing the other issues. Let's look at, I also have a crash for Sean Sullivan. Let's look at that real quick.
So Sean Sullivan, one of the few Macas in the field, getting ready to go into the chicane here. Let's see what happens.
Oh, that
again, just kind of that slow spin on the rear end. And not really enough torque to whip it around, or at least he's just being conservative about it, but he gets back going straight with minimal risk. 4/10 between Gian Cardoso and Mark Coyne right now.
Wow. Mark Coyne keeping Gian honest. 13:06 from Gian Cardoso and a 13.25 for Mark Coyne. So a little faster there, but definitely keeping him honest. Jaden Ledbetter has gotten around Scott Fleming and he's currently putting the pressure on Alex Velasco. Gabe Chavez is hot on their heels.
And we are reaching some GT4 traffic as we go into this final chicane. That's going to cut Mark Coyne off in an awkward way, and that Porsche gets an awkward entry into the exit curb.
Yep, that's going to set.
Slows her down.
Yeah, Thomas D'Arcangelo, I think, is just having a bit of a recovery race of his own. But it definitely sets him off of pace, and I think he'll make him a little bit harder to catch Sean Sullivan, who's good 10 seconds up the road, but definitely puts that effort back a little bit.
So Jaden posted in chat, Gian and Mark for round 2. Who wins this time? So I'm pretty high on Gian in the fact that he's been performing quite well in the LMP3. However, I do have some insider knowledge on Mark Coyne. He's been running a lot of LMP3. He ran some LMP3 with some of the other New World Sim Racing guys as I was watching them race, and he's been pretty quick in the LMP3. So I think Gian is going to have his hands full relative in terms of pace. And with this GT4 traffic getting into the mix, it, depending on who can manage the traffic better, could be the decision maker here.
I definitely think that will be a deciding factor. They both look to be running pretty quick lap times, especially by comparison to the rest of the field. Obviously, I think that'll slow down as they reach traffic. And Brandon Potts, I think, is very generous in giving space to Mark Coyne to keep running his laps. Jaden Ledbetter, I think, is aggressively trying to get through the field to catch up to Gian and Mark to take the fight for the lead.
Jaden Ledbetter, aggressive getting through the field. What could go wrong? What could possibly go wrong? And there are 2 GT4s off track. It looks like that might be Kyle Potter and Logan Branson in the background, still waiting to rejoin.
I see that. I'm going to take a look at that real quick. Oh, I think Kyle goes for an outside line here, ducks back for the over-under, and I don't think gives Logan enough space or heads up, and they both end up in the wall.
Yeah, I think that was just a moment there where the over-under was definitely on. I guess the big thing that I'm kind of curious about, Ian, was did Logan turn in early, or was Kyle washing out a bit? And Mark Coyne is doing tricks in the back straight chicane.
I think Mark got the car unsettled prior to going into it, locked up the brakes, and then just was along for the ride. And I think everybody else had great heads up there to not give him the space to let that one slide.
What is going on in the background?
Cars. I think cars is going on in the background. Let's hop back a couple positions.
Oh my goodness! Just LMP3s meeting GT4s in awkward places.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a. I mean, this is like a. This has been the story of Charlotte.
It has. Awkward running. Oh, and that was a.
Oh, and there's a touch, and that now that's a survivable hit. I think John can get the BVR Porsche back on track.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully that damage is minimal. If he can survive, if he's not losing too much pace relative to that, that's a easy pit for fast repair early.
Yeah.
Don't take your tires and then see what you can do.
Yeah. Top up the fuel. Don't take tires, or do take tires. And
well, if you take tires, you can't do the auto repair. That's the thing, if I remember correctly.
I thought you could do it all. Maybe I'm misremembering that. Jumping around on track here. Let's see. Stephen Wallace, Christopher Blue, Henry Garcia. Well, they were so close to each other. More.
Somebody just went off camera right.
Yep, I saw that. Let's see. Track back to it.
Man, Stephen Wallace is out here trying to recover some spots. Already up into fourth.
Jaden Ledbetter right behind him, as he, I think, has dispatched Mark Coyne. I don't know where exactly that was.
Oh, I think it was after the chicane.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think it was when Mark was basically crab walking the LMP3 over the rumble strips.
Yes.
That was something. That was something. And the fact that Mark Coyne is still in this after that happening is definitely a sight to behold.
Mm-hmm.
Stephen Wallace moving around. I believe that's Henry Garcia on the outside as they go into the oval section.
I think Henry Garcia got a really bad exit as a result of LMP3 traffic.
Might have gotten a slowdown.
Oh, that is also true.
Yep, Alex Velasco, and I believe that's also Scott Fleming in the background. Scott Fleming in fifth, trying to use that skill and pace differential that he has in LMP3 to try and dispatch this field as fast as possible, but the GT4 traffic is definitely gumming up the works.
Definitely. But he's keeping it close to Alex Velasco, keeping Alex Velasco honest. If you look at the lap times, that works. Yeah, cool.
Jaden Ledbetter is in the lead of this race.
Well, how'd that happen?
That is a good question, but Gian Cardoso is falling behind pretty fast. He's almost a second already, and Mark Coyne is actually catching Gian at a pretty good clip.
Yeah, I wonder if Jaden didn't force the turn that caused Gian to lose a lot of time there. Ethan Hamlet getting passed by them. Kind of off in his own little world. 7 seconds.
Off in his own little world, managing traffic. This is going to be... So here's where we're talking about. If we're talking about like the high notes, things to watch out for in GT4 Pro, Ethan Hamlet, traffic management. It is the single most important thing for Ethan right now.
Yeah. Really knowing where to put his car so that way the LMP3s are able to get around him successfully without compromising his own time.
Yep. He's got to definitely come in. He's got to be approaching this race with the mindset, how can I help you help me? Because if he tries to be too self-centered on track, could end up in an awkward situation with an LMP3 approaching at a pretty fast rate. If I'm looking at that car, I'm seeing scrapes on it already. So the 46 is not unscathed.
No, I think like we were talking about, I think he's definitely made friends with a wall, but looks like probably the one that we saw him bump into earlier for a brief moment. We're flipping through some cameras.
Somebody who's got some really blistering pace here in LMP3 who we've yet to see bust into the top 5. And that is Gob Chavez.
Absolutely.
In the 729, but he's getting around the oval section right now, and he's trying to catch up to Scott Fleming. Scott Fleming is already in striking distance of Alex Velasco. So those two start fighting. I think Chavez has got a shot at closing in and joining the fight.
I think so as well. I think Gob is definitely on a bit of a recovery drive from the heat race and the incidents there. So I think he's just kind of biding his time, playing it cool, hoping to regain the points there, and patience, which is always the virtue that seems to pay dividends in most racing to some degree.
So only seen one early pit stop, and that's out of Logan Branson on lap number 5.
Yes.
Getting some repairs, choosing to save the fast repair for later.
Interesting.
That might actually. Here's the thing. That might actually not be a bad idea.
Yeah.
Might actually not be a bad idea. But we'll see. But anyway, Logan's back out on track. Logan just putting in work, man. Go watch Wookie OH on Twitch TV. The man just drives.
Yeah. Drives well. I've caught a few of his, and I always appreciate it. Definitely very approachable to listen to on a stream, and I love that.
Yep. Very down to earth. He's a very it says what it does on the box kind of guy, and I like that about him. But right now he's just kind of got nose to the grindstone, going to try and see if he can recover as many spots as he can, come away with some good points, because he's actually got a pretty good charge right now happening in GT4 AM championship standings.
Yes. So I think if he is able to pull off a one stop from this point towards the end of the race, I think he'd get himself some pretty good stops, because he's taking only his first pit stop, and they will likely have 1 to 2. I'm gonna guess most of the field is probably gonna do 2, given the nature of the circuit and how much you're spending time on throttle in that oval section. So I think if he can manage that and make it a one stopper from here, I think he'd have a really good shot at getting back up in the order pretty well.
All right, so Scott Fleming has dispatched Alex Velasco to move up into 4th in LMP3. And actually, Chavez is right there now with Alex.
Yeah. I mean, with a 1:12.02, Gob Chavez definitely has the pace there to work his way back.
Yeah, that quali lap that he had was a stonker, and he's moving through the field right now. He is making that LMP3 cut through the air, and he's going to be taking this fight to Alex. The gap is closing down so fast. Look at this. They're going to be going side by side as they get ready to go into the chicane.
Not quite.
Not
almost.
really.
You see him from the back of where we're right along with Scott Fleming, but it is definitely close.
So going in here into Sector 1 right now, Chavez is just nipping at Velasco's heels as they go into this infield section. Awkward spot for the LMP3s, and Alex loses the back end a little bit, recovers it. Now see, this is gonna bring Chavez into it as they get ready to go up into this uphill section. Again, another awkward transition from going uphill to downhill as they get ready to go into the oval section. But Alex is keeping it very defensive and manages to stay ahead.
You can see the sector times there. Velasco had a better Sector 1, but Sector 2 has gone the way of Gob, and then including Sector 3. There's definitely I think a chance here within the next lap or so if Gob has a really good entrance and makes a lunge down that final chicane for P5.
I think there was a bit of a moment where Chavez had to back out of it on corner exit from the chicane. He's going to try and take the outside line as they get ready to go into the final chicane. He does take the inside, and both of them side by side coming out of the final corner as they get ready to go into turn 1. And Chavez just backs out of it. Alex Velasco is going to live for another lap.
Plays it safe, and I think it's super respectful instead of trying to force it. As they come upon a little bit of traffic before getting back to it, you can see on that track map, it's getting traffic spreading out pretty quickly.
And that's the thing. The traffic spreading out is going to be hectic for the LMP3 drivers because the GT4s are going to be everywhere. Is that GT4 in the wall?
I think it was. Dylan Hendricks. Let's take a look at this crash. Maybe it's not the one that we saw, but it's definitely one that I see on my relative is happening.
D'Arcangelo looks composed.
That's
Dylan Hendricks in the wall, and he's going to tow it.
Let's see what happens.
I mean, that looked like a shot. Like his car started going sideways, and I was like, this is not going to end well. Whatever this is, it doesn't end well.
It does not. Oh,
now that's a light tap. Okay. Now either he's stuck or he's just like done with Charlotte.
That or he just wants to take the fast repair. Is sick of that. So we'll see. I think he was involved in an incident in the heat as well. So
yeah.
Anthony
shout out to I believe that is Flut GOS. Ooh, Alex Velasco is that car is broken.
Yeah, that car got shot from something. What happened there? Oh, hits the corner
he touched
there.
The wall, and the rear's broken, and then he gets a scrape on Chavez. Chavez, that was a flush shot. I think Chavez might be okay. It just depends on where Velasco hit him on the entry. But anyway, Flut GOS, thank you so much for the follow. Appreciate it, man.
Let's take a look at Gabe here. Gob, excuse me. Alex Velasco, I think, just hit that corner way harder than he had planned. Lost the steering in that rear end, and then just got punted into the other corner by the reaction. And there is, what did I say that was? William Lewis.
Yeah, William Lewis dropping down the order a little bit. Wondering if Chavez is going to go for the pits early, take the fast repair, fill up, running 45% on the or 55% on the fuel. So I think he might be able to try and see if he can eke this out. But it looks like he's got the car together, so he's gonna keep pushing forward.
Doesn't look like it's hurting too bad, whatever it is. I don't see a whole lot of damage visually on the outside, though. As it gets darker, it's gonna get harder to see any sort of damage and stuff like that on cars.
So real quick, I wanted to comment on the GT4 AM field and Eduardo Zamora, who is currently leading GT4 AM. Eduardo Zamora in the 228, currently ahead of Christopher Blue, but Christopher Blue is in the background. He's not out of this. And then it looks like we've also got one of the pile driving AMGs intermixed.
I believe that's Ryan Buchanan in between the two of them, and I think that's kind of what we talked about with the Chris Blue. Definitely going to have his hands full. I think there's definitely some areas where I think Eduardo has the pace over Chris Blue, but I think Chris Blue also has either a faster oval section or a faster infield section, and it keeps them pretty competitive between the two of them.
Yeah, we were talking about that with Jaden before the stream. The BMW M4 getting a bit of a balance of performance adjustment with this latest patch, making it a little bit more competitive. And it does seem like Christopher Blue is going to try and take advantage of that pace, whatever pace advantage he can get his hands on in the 530. Now, the thing is I think the thing that has been, what am I trying to say here? The thing that has made Christopher Blue dominant in GT4 AM, I feel like, is less about pace and more about the kind of consistency that we tend to see from Christopher.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing about a lot of the GT4 AM class people we see do really well is that consistency over lap after lap, not just a single lap pace or a couple laps. It's the average lap time over the 70-minute feature and 20-minute heats. I got Tommy Kogan crashing. Let's see if I can showcase it here. Is it?
Maybe you can. Tommy's car is big broken. Broken.
It's big broken.
Not sure what happened there, but that front end is gone. The front steering is gone, and I think he's going to. Thomas. Sorry. I saw a flash, like he blinked almost.
Oh yeah.
Wonder what happened there. Thomas, F in chat, bud, for Tommy. Now, Tommy had some good bonus points out of the heat race. So if he can get it to the pits,
I think he jumped.
Pump out a quick. He's had power outages today. That's unfortunate. So relative to where he is in the U.S., man, we've having some pretty gnarly storms. We had some nasty storms yesterday. So definitely have some folks in your thoughts for the. I know there were some bad storms in Mississippi. And in me in particular, I know that Cave City, Arkansas was smashed. But definitely stay safe out there in the weather. hopefully Tommy's not having too many power outages and can pump out a quick pit stop and maybe try and claw back some points here in the feature race.
And he is back on track, so thankfully I think it's not been a complete outage if that's the case. Another crash of my relative I want to kind of see what happened is Gabe Chavez. Goes past Christopher Blue, hits the curbs. I think he just gets it loose trying to not hit Ryan Buchanan, and it's just a self-spin. So thankfully everyone comes out of that okay.
Yep.
He passes him again, going into the infield.
So survival, really the thing here. Although, let's talk about Eduardo Zamora right now. He just pumped out a 22. What was that? A 22.4 last lap for his personal best, and he is he's moving right now.
Definitely, I think that's the fastest of GT4 AM. If we pull back into the best times that we have here, find him again. There we go.
I definitely think so. Yeah.
It is actually not Sean Sullivan.
Oh, Sean Sullivan with the McLaren pumping in 22.3.
Yep, 370, 500ths of a second faster. So not by much, but just enough. But
indeed,
very rapid pace from Zamora.
Yeah. So 20 laps done in the feature race here. We still have what is that? I believe. Am I losing my mind?
No, maybe.
Does that say 110? Yeah, 90 minutes. Duh.
70 minutes, 110.
Yeah. Well, I mean, total is yeah. Anyway. Yeah. No. I get where you're going. Where you're going. I'm my allergies are killing me, and my math skills, they don't math right now.
That's okay.
Now that said, we still got a lot of race. We got folks that are taking those pit stops early due to some on-track shenanigans. There is definitely some opportunities, even for folks that might have gotten involved in some scuffles early on. Ethan Hamlet not involved in any scuffles and currently holding a 17-second lead on Stephen Wallace. And Stephen Wallace up into second after a less than stellar heat race. So he's trying to carve out some points as much as he can.
I don't think he's got the pace there. I think it was just that unfortunate accident. I think with one of the LMP3s, I think Alex Velasco, that took him further down the order than I think he would have liked. But definitely great comeback there from Stephen Wallace as he's trying to find, I think, the last bits of pace to maybe, just maybe, catch up to Ethan Hamlet. I think it'll be a tall order of consistent pacing to do that.
It'll be a tall order, but the thing is that the traffic management, it's going to hit everybody in GT4, including Ethan.
Yeah.
So Ethan's going to have to, again, going back to the high notes, what's top of the list, a number one concern for Ethan Hamlet for 70 minutes is how can I help these LMP3s get around me without them killing me? That's going to be the key for him. All it takes is one mistake, and Stephen Wallace could be back in this. Henry Garcia could be in it too. Looking at the field spreading out, so we're starting to see those gaps open up. I suspect we're not going to see the field condense back down until we start to get close to what are the scheduled pit stops for folks that are doing kind of that even fuel distribution over 70 minutes. $21,153 for Ethan Hamlet, who is just finding more pace. Weren't we talking like literally like a minute ago that he was like 17 seconds ahead and now he's almost 20?
Yeah. Yep.
Like,
he's currently lapping about a second to a second and a half faster.
Yeah.
And that's a
Chavez is in the wall, and that is a wingless LMP3.
That was a wingless LMP3 before. Okay, we'll see this one.
Oh, it was.
And then we'll see what happened to cause that wing to be gone. I think he's just trying to take that at pace, and that wing really does apply a lot of downforce onto that rear tires. Let's see what led him to that spot here with this earlier crash I'm seeing on my relative and my timing as well. Going into the chicane here. I think he gets it loose again going over those curbing, and that was not his friend earlier. And that originally was going to be a Jaden Ledbetter launching the rear cover to the sky for that engine.
Yep.
Then reattached. So just the just that rear spoiler, which does provide a lot of downforce to those.
What I suspect is that Gabe didn't necessarily feel it gone.
No, you wouldn't feel it until...
He probably felt it being a little bit twitchy under braking going into the chicane, but then when he got to the turn one, it was like the rear end of the car is not planted.
No, and it just kind of kicks out on him. So, Ethan Hamlet diving into pit lane. If I go back to live, on replay. I thought it was.
No, he's in pit.
Yep, he's in pit lane. I'm on Steam Walls again. There he is.
So he's going in the pits right now. Taking a look at the data, I don't see anything relative to Ethan involving like a crash. So Ethan is just really trying to get that pit stop done early here at the 28-minute mark. And he's going to try and get back out on track. Let's take a look. I'm going to keep an eyeball on Ethan's times because I'm curious. He's actually off the jacks in 27 seconds. 27.1
wow. Okay.
To be exact. So he is
just a
really
splash and
dash.
dash.
Yeah.
And Jaden Ledbetter also in. Finally hitting his pit stall for that, which means Gian Cardoso takes back over the lead.
Yep. So Chavez in 729, 21.17 seconds on the jack. That means he probably took the fuel and fast repair, and he is back out on track. Currently in 6th relative to the LMP3 field. Now, here's the thing. Even with that incident in pit stop, he is still +2 for his race start relative to the where he ended with the heat race. So,
absolutely.
You want to talk about big movers and shakers? Eduardo Zamora is +8. Tanner Schiffner is currently +10. Now, there are some pit stops starting to happen.
Yep.
Tanner Schiffner being potentially +10 right now. That is that's pretty big. I suspect we're going to be looking at maybe if I'm gauging a true representation, I think Tanner's probably like +6 after the pit stop. Same deal with Eduardo Zamora. Eduardo Zamora is probably going to be about +6 on his race start. And we are seeing a lot of the GT4 runners coming in to get their pit stops done. Tommy Kogan had a 1:08, but we noticed he had that toe involved. So Tommy's going to move up into 22nd in the overall behind Brandon Potts, trying to chase down Sean Sullivan. Just taking a look at some more of the GT4 runners. What I wanted to do, and what I'm going to try to do, I'm going to try and highlight who had the quickest pit stops. Ethan Hamlet, of course, with the 55.57 for full pit lane travel time, just absolutely smoking fast.
I wonder if he's not trying to get a quick stop done now and then a more ideal one done later.
So would you like to know the fastest pit stop in GT4 by a margin? And that is Mr. Sean Sullivan in the 66 McLaren, 24.25 on jacks, 53.05 full pit lane travel time. That's pinpoint precision.
That's also, I think, that has to be one of a two-stopper strategy. We are not quite half distance yet. And it is definitely going to be a fast one.
So interestingly enough, so Kyle Potter, Christopher Blue, Tanner Schiffner, Eduardo Zamora, they're all in right now.
Yes.
They went a little bit late relative to the rest of the field. Tanner Schiffner in particular, 2 laps later than Ethan Hamlet.
Yeah.
So Ethan and Sean Sullivan both with the Giga undercuts. Sean Sullivan with an 18-lap first stint, and then Ethan Hamlet with the 20.
Tanner Schiffner is up into second at the end of that, all of that, whereas Stephen Wallace, who was second going into this, is now 4th.
Yeah,
I
plus
passed that
6.
Yeah.
Or
still
excuse
up
me,
6
plus 9 for Tanner Schiffner for the
Yes.
race.
from where he started, because one of the many individuals who had a rougher heat race.
Yeah.
So Mark Coyne coming in from the lead, which he inherited after Gian Cardoso came in. I think he's the last of our LMP3s to make it into pit lane. And he will probably drop back down to, I think, 4th or 3rd, which I think is where he was prior. He's taking his time finding his box.
Just taking a moment real quick to talk about other pit stops right now. Stephen Wallace missing out, but I think he was probably dealing with some repairs. His pit lane travel time, minute 4.6. So significant difference there. We're talking 7 seconds between him and even the slowest of the top 3 in GT4 right now, which is Henry Garcia at 57.60 for pit lane travel time.
Yeah.
So Stephen Wallace is going to come out 4th in GT4, and is going to have a little bit of recovery to do, but has pretty decent pace.
Yeah.
You want to talk about somebody who has some pace that has been shocking, and that's Tanner Schiffner with the 21.97 for his fastest lap, which is 0.8 off of Ethan Hamlet. But still, Tanner busting into the 21s in race pace shows that he means business in the 51.
Absolutely. I think him, and then as well as, he is not far behind, or Henry Garcia is not far behind him either. Less than a second splitting them in one lapped car in between all of them.
So the Rinsler's out. Rinsler says, "Not my night, St. Patty's Day celebration all day, and racing don't mix." He says it's embarrassing, but we'll be back. Well, we hope to see you in round number 5, sir, because we should talk about round 5.
We should
talk about round 5. Round 5, ladies and gentlemen, of the Sports Car Series is going to be a special one. We are doing 144 minutes at Sebring International Raceway on March 29th. That one is going to be a banger. We're going more than the 2 hours. We're doing the 144 at Sebring. We hope to see you all there for round 5. We've also got some really interesting races coming up later in the season. We are going to the Chicago Street Circuit for round 6.
I'm very excited for that.
I think that's going to be exciting because you don't see that one too often. Round 7, we're going to Spa, which I'm conflicted about.
Why are you conflicted?
I am not a Spa enjoyer.
Why not?
In almost all formats, because I feel like when you're going down the Kemmel Straight, you're just feeling the passage of time. Same deal with like Le Mans. Like when you're going down the Mulsanne Straight, I just feel like it's like, cool, I'm driving straight, but for how long?
Is it any better with the Mulsanne with the chicanes versus the Mulsanne without the chicanes, or is it the same?
Oh, when it's the classic Mulsanne, like when I was playing that in RF2, especially in like a GT40.
Yeah.
And it was always fun in GT40 too, because the suspension on it basically made you feel like you were driving a speedboat.
Yeah.
Anyway. However, so round 7 spot, I think it's going to be exciting. So definitely hope people be there for that, because I think the Eau Rouge Radeon combination with these 2 car classes is going to be fun to watch. But
absolutely,
the finale, my friend, round number 8, we're going to Mid-Ohio.
We are going to my home track. I'm so excited.
Yep. I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, I think Sebring will be a lot of fun for me to watch. I always love watching Sebring more than I love driving. Much like you, I have the same issue. I have a similar issue with Sebring, being just a race where you watch time pass on that back straight and your eyes are staring into sunset.
Yeah.
Not a track I enjoy.
I thought you were going to comment on how Sebring going through sunset is like you turned your car into a waterbed.
I mean, there's that too.
Because you're just like up and down, up and down, up and down.
Mm-hmm. And then there's no wrong way to take it. So like it's just whatever. As long as you survive the other side, you're fine.
Yeah. They need to seriously work on the marketing on that. Instead of Sunset Corner, it's going to be Bud Light # down for whatever corner. Anyway, it's going to be an interesting race, though. I think, and Jaden, I appreciate you. 250 miles. That's very optimistic. Sebring is a survival race, much like Charlotte Roval is. We get to 250 miles, man. That's going to be an achievement.
Yeah.
It's going to be a big achievement. Now, you said Mid-Ohio being your home racetrack.
Yes.
You got to be excited about that one.
I am. I am so excited. It's
Mhm.
I love the racing there because it is, IndyCar has very much coined that term of it's a road course that races like a short track. It is intense. I love the elevation change, the blind corners that really make you have to have some awareness and heads up going into it, both on your relative as well as just what's physically going on in front of you as you crest over the hill at the end, in the middle of the S's. I think it's perfect for this kind of speed of car as well, much like the Charlotte Roval and all the tracks I think we're going to. I think the one exception being Spa. I think Spa is a little bit, you can pull out a little bit more speed there than we got in this machinery and have the ideal experience. But otherwise, I think it's perfect for the machinery we're bringing to it, and I think it'll be a great way to end off the season. I'm excited.
I don't want to jinx it. We're 1 hour and 57 minutes in this stream session. No disconnects.
Wow. We've done it.
Like, ladies and gentlemen, Sports Car Series is bringing you a stream from start to finish. What a concept.
It's taken us a little while. According to Jaden, Sebring is distance, not time.
Okay, so it's an actual lap race. Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha.
250 miles of Sebring,
Good to know.
which may or may not be roughly 144 minutes, according to our scheduling.
According to SimGrid, which also is kind of like hashtag whatever when it comes to like determining what a race consists of. Speaking of the guy that's texting in chat right now, here he was going around the 41, going in turn 1.
Yep. And let's take
Mr.
a ride
Jane
along.
Ledbetter with a 7.6 second lead while chatting it up.
Yeah, I don't see the phone on the roll bar cam, but I'm sure it's there somewhere.
Yeah, kids, don't text and drive.
Do not text and drive. Let's watch
Ethan Hamlet with a 21.105. Could Ethan on light fuel at the end of this race break the 20s?
I think it's really possible if he gets a nice draft from either another GT4 or an LMP3.
Yeah,
because I think that has been what has allowed him his times so far. Sometimes is the drag there. Man,
so
this new lighting model is pretty nice looking.
The survival aspect of the Charlotte Roval is delivering right now. The field has spread out, but Stephen Wallace and Ryan Buchanan, those two cars chasing down their relative competitors. Ryan Buchanan actually is chasing down his teammate Matt Pyle, so that's going to be interesting.
Wow, what's going on with Matt Pyle? Ryan Buchanan, is he trying to chase down Matt Pyle?
So the two Pyle driver Mercedes AMGs going through the infield section. It is Charlotte is a tough cookie. We are 40 minutes in to the heat race or the feature race, and man, it has been something.
It certainly has been, and I like the two things we just mentioned have been the two closest races. I think the one exception being Bruno Clemente trying to chase down, I think it is Sean Sullivan.
Yeah, Sean Sullivan's gonna have a fight on his hand because Bruno Clemente last lap was a 23. Although actually Sean actually battled back this. They most recently crossed the line 22:49 for Sean, 23:10 for Bruno.
I'm thinking of Sean and Christopher Blue. I'm misreading.
Sean and Christopher Blue. Now that is a pace differential. That is a 22:49 from Sean, chasing down a 23:46 from Christopher. And Christopher kind of being back towards the bottom of the podium here, behind Corey Lobner and Eduardo Zamora, which is Eduardo Zamora has had like giga pace in GT4 AM, but Sean Sullivan has actually kind of like switched on.
Yeah. Well, I think Sean Sullivan has gotten his groove in. Having a pretty rough, I think, first start to both races, the heat and the feature, has been able to get some good time there. And it's really holding down the pace, the space between his Macca and the GT4 BMW in front of him.
Always Hope is questioning why Kyle Potter is not in first place. Something sus going on here. Well, Kyle Potter got an upgrade. Kyle Potter got upgraded, and I'm not talking to first class. I'm talking to GT4 Pro, and that's going to be a tougher format for Kyle. But Kyle's actually running a pretty good race right now. He is in front of second place Tommy Kogan right now. Both of them kind of getting involved in a little bit of drama, I think, at separate points. I know that Kyle Potter had a spin on the exit of the final chicane. I can't remember if there was actual contact between him and someone else. I think it was a self-spin, and he kind of got shuffled down to the bottom of the order. Tommy Kogan, of course, had that blink moment, and then we saw him, like in Mario Brothers, like warp to the pits.
I think he made contact with the wall exiting the final chicane because of that blink.
Yeah. It was a very unfortunate circumstance for Tommy, but they're both still in it because they're trying to mine those points in this feature race to keep those championship hopes alive. Yeah, Charlotte's going to be about survival, and the people that stick it out, I think they're gonna reap the benefits of getting those points and going into Chicago or Sebring, excuse me.
Having a good spot in Sebring, I think, will be a good one. I think the 2 hours, the 250 miles of Sebring will make for a really interesting one. I think we'll see probably a bit of this spread out nature towards the back half of it, like we did, like we're seeing tonight. And I think it'll be a good race. People always say that the racing there is always immaculate. I think the racing is great wherever you go if you have good people to race with.
Oh yeah,
and I think it'll be good racing for track limits there.
I think that's one of the things that we've got really to kind of offer the folks that are watching at home or the people that are interested in iRacing. We got some other pit stops coming in. I think these are folks that had to stop early due to issues. So Tommy Kogan looks like he might be out, saying VR hung frames like crazy again. Hopefully that does not mean that is a retirement for second place Tommy Kogan. Although I do see, it does look like Nope, he looks stationary now.
Nope, I don't see him.
That is unfortunate. Second place in GT4 Pro, Tommy Kogan, going to be out here at Charlotte, and we got a race to the end of the pit straight between one of the that's Eduardo Zamora and I believe John Newman in the BBR.
So yes, yep.
Always Hope is like, it makes sense. What can I say? I love Mr. Potter. He drove me home once. It was only a couple of red lights, I swear. So, ladies and gentlemen, getting a trip home with Mr. Kyle Potter, and he's going to try and get you home like he's trying to do Kessel Run, is definitely something to behold. Here at Charlotte, Tommy's VR headset just cost me my house and kids. Thomas,
no.
F's in chat. Like, this man's out here ruining lives. Same spot twice tonight in the feature, not going to ruin more than my night. Oh, I see. So the VR frames hanging on the exit chicane are what introduced Tommy to the wall.
Yep. I'm wondering what in that area is setting off the VR that badly.
For me, if I were running VR, this is just me. Tommy, you can take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. You're the pro. I'm just the talking head. But for me, when I was running like the Valve Index in iRacing, man, external features on tracks, shut them all off. Turn everything off. Like pit assets. The only thing that I was really running other than textures, max cars.
It's definitely a trade-off for what you see on broadcast versus what you want to see in VR. VR is still so taxing, even in iRacing, which I find fascinating given the optimization efforts they do into normal screened racing.
Yep.
And seeing none of that carry over into.
I mean, for me, I tend to think of it like, sure, it's VR. It's technologically advanced. It's sophisticated. DirectX 11 is also like at this point, like going to college. It's so old.
Yep.
I mean, like it's like VR and DirectX 11 is like let's add broadcast television and the silent pictures and see how people enjoy it. It's two technologies that are separated by decades.
Yeah.
In their perception.
Yeah. And DirectX 12 is a little bit better, but I think it's still, there's ways to optimize it. I don't think they're doing it for VR users. So it's definitely a harder thing to try to get VR to run smoothly without just, going overkill and getting the most ridiculous graphics card and just, throw money at the problem.
Yeah. And with that, we're gonna get to some hot lapping around here with these folks trying to survive Charlotte Oval and fewer hot takes from Philip. And we're going to see what these guys are doing. Sean Sullivan right now currently down under a half second as he's chasing down Christopher Blue and Corey Lobner, who have found themselves in second and first, respectively.
This is our closest battle at the moment. The fight between Matt Pyle and Ryan Buchanan, I think, ended a little while ago with a pretty healthy gap between the two of them, about 3 seconds.
I did know that one of the Pile driver AMGs, I believe it was, if I remember correctly, was Matt in the, or no, it wasn't Matt. It was Ryan. Or no, it was Matt at the start.
Yeah.
Caught the exit chicane, did the self-spin, fell down the order. Yeah. Now he's back up to fifth, which is good recovery, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, less than 10 seconds from Stephen Wallace, who's currently closing in on Henry Garcia.
About a second there. It's deviated up and down. Let's take a look and see how far they are on track.
Yeah.
Not far. I think if Steve puts together some good laps, he'll get himself back into a fighting spot. With Alex Velasco in the background there, trying to get around. You want to talk about a spread out field? LMP3 they are all on their own. Yeah.
There is no part of the bread that is not buttered here at Charlotte with LMP3 traffic. So the thing I'll say about the LMP3s right now is the traffic management with the GT4 is definitely being a factor here. But again, we're 49 minutes. We've still got 20 minutes left in this race before we're going to hit that checkered flag. So there's still opportunities here. And, you got 11 seconds between Gian and Jaden.
Yeah.
You got 13 seconds between Mark Coyne and Scott Fleming. And Chavez is only 10 seconds back after losing his rear wing and having to take the pit stop.
Yeah.
It's still possible for an accident to kind of upset the apple cart in LMP3.
Oh, absolutely. I think Jaden is doing everything he can just to keep the car going the right direction. Besides texting and driving, because that'll be the
it's so interesting. Like Jaden's having lots of bad luck with wrecks and stuff, but at the same time too, the man is actually texting while driving. Which kids, again,
don't do that.
Don't text and drive. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Well, maybe that's all the bad luck he's getting is from all this texting and driving. It's not the walking under the ladders. It's the.
I mean, if I were him, I would just I don't know, what you got to do. Go to a seance, I don't know, just figure something out. Because right now, Jaden Ledbetter has went to the grocery store and came back with bags full of bad luck. He just doesn't do anything else other than have really awkward moments that end up in his race basically just being over effectively.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this at the beginning of the stream. He's one of those cars right now when you look at the LMP3 results in the championship standings. He's mega out of place.
Yeah.
So he's got
his pace.
Yeah, he's definitely got to get something going here. Tries to show the flash before they go into the infield section and is going to have to wait a minute before he gets around. Was that Ethan Hamlin, actually?
I think that was Matt Pyle.
Matt Pyle? Okay. So on to the oval section now, and Jaden currently 12.8 on Gian Cardoso. Sean Sullivan is still harassing Mr. Christopher Blue, and we actually have a gaggle of GT4s with some LMP3 presence as they get ready to go into the oval section.
I can't tell if that was an actual contact or He might have been, because he's going pretty slow out of that corner there in the infield, back onto the oval.
Contact or corner cut? Because again, I think we have been seeing some awkward moments on the exit of the infield section onto the oval.
Mm-hmm.
You can generate a corner cut and can
that's
get
right.
the slowdown.
Yeah, that's fair.
And that'll just absolutely massacre your lap time.
Yeah. Alex Velasco.
Stephen Wallace 7/10 to Henry Garcia. Although seeing that gap kind of go up and down, I think it has mostly to do with the fact that we've got an LMP3 in there, and I believe that's Mr. Ledbetter again.
I believe it is.
Mr. Ledbetter out here causing headaches. This man is like head on, applied directly to the forehead. So yeah, with the closing stages of this race, we're what, less than 17 minutes to the end?
Thereabouts, yeah. Just under 17 minutes.
Are we gonna see another pit stop?
I think we saw the first of at least Alex Velasco hopping in for a second one. I think it's entirely possible they will need to, based on the adjustment to the fuel. But I think it'll be a splash and dash if they do.
I think so. If I'm going to go with anything, I'm going to go with the canary in the coal mine.
Okay.
And in GT4, the canary in the coal mine for me is Mr. Sean Sullivan in the 66 because he pitted on lap 18.
Mm-hmm.
So if we see him going into the pits, we know that the two stopper is on. Gotcha. And then for the folks that pitted later than him, much later, they may be good to the end. Eduardo Zamora is pitted, so has Brandon Potts and John Newman, Logan Branson, all have pitted twice. Those two, a few of those have also had some incidents on track, so they had to go in get some features on the car repaired.
Yep.
And Stephen Wallace is right here with Garcia in the 236.
Yeah. Coming into the chicane, the bus stop on the back straight for Charlotte. Using as much curb as they can.
We're in the final stages of this race, sir. What are your thoughts so far here at Charlotte?
I mean, it's such a war of attrition. We kind of talked about this at the start, and I think it's just showing with how spread out the field is at the end of this race that the pace here has been largely dictated about when traffic has hit you or you have hit traffic. So much of it is not it's not just raw pace. It's when you see an LMP3 lunge up the inside and you have to take a wider line than you want to and lose what little time you've gained to the car in front of you, like we're kind of seeing with Stephen Wallace here. But you watch the same thing happen to the car in front of you, less than a corner or two later, and you're right back into it as we see. So it's definitely a give and take circuit. I think it'll definitely be one of our more spread out finishes. Sean Sullivan, as you're talking about it, has gone into pit lane.
All right, so Sean Sullivan, again, one of those early stoppers. So the two stopper is on for him. I wonder if Ethan Hamlet's going to be coming in here soon. He pitted on lap 20.
Yep.
There's 2-lap delta here, and with the time being at 55 minutes, almost 56 minutes before we're at the end of the race, I do think that's going to have to happen. We did have another pit stop from Bruno Clemente.
Yes, he's in pit lane. There's
a
very mangled Taylor Schiffner in the pit lane. I want to see what happened there. Says he went off track.
Oh, no.
And
then the snap, and then, that is unfortunate.
Just
such a good race for Tanner,
who
has been an absolute juggernaut in GT4, and he just takes it straight to the pits. That is super unfortunate. Tanner Schiffner all the way down now in 22nd. 4 spots down on the feature race behind John Newman right now. Is he going to come out from the pits, finish this race out? We shall see. But Bruno Clemente actually in the pits for quite a bit.
Yeah.
I'm kind of curious if Bruno had a moment because he's been sitting in the pit lane now for a minute 14, minute 15.
I'm wondering what happened with Corey Lobner.
Oh no, he's now off the jacks at 53 seconds and heading out to pit lane.
I wonder if he's
back on track.
I wonder if he got tires. or got manual repairs done on both my things I'm thinking. I'm trying to figure out where Corey Lobner got behind Christopher Blue.
Which is interesting because Corey Lobner was a 56-second pit stop, and Christopher Blue was a minute 7.
Yeah, I wonder. That's what I'm saying. I wonder if something happened there that cost him the time. Ethan Hamlet into the pits and out.
And that's a splash. That's 15.1. I'm kind of curious if Ethan took tires this entire race.
I don't know that you would have to. If you're gentle on them, these GT4 tires can go a pretty long way on a single stint. I have definitely gone 90-minute endurance races on a single set of tires because I just didn't want to take the time to put new ones on.
So let's talk about our overcut potential. Kyle Potter, Christopher Blue, although Christopher Blue and Corey Lobner both only have single stops in place. So we're looking at their pit stop times. They haven't actually pitted yet.
No. That's why I'm trying to figure out why Corey Lobner is behind Christopher Blue.
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Now, I am seeing a pit stop from William Lewis. We do have some pit stops happening for the LMP3s. Not shocked there.
Nope.
But so the overcut, folks. Next on cue would be Corey Lobner at 21 laps. And then Kyle Potter, Christopher Blue. So if Kyle Potter or Christopher Blue are going to pull the one stopper out, they're the ones that are going to do it.
Yes. Yeah, they're the ones that
they went the deepest on a single stop.
Yeah. Though I think it'll be interesting to see how much Henry Garcia is attempting to fuel save because of the distance between him and Stephen Wallace right now. 0.2 seconds. He dives into the pits.
Henry Garcia's got to go into the pits,
yep.
Which makes sense. He only had one stop under his belt, so he's going to have to take a second one. Stephen Wallace is going to probably have to take another one. Matt Pyle's going in. He's one of the big overcuts.
Mm-hmm.
I imagine Ryan Duquesne.
He stays out.
I suspect we're about to see Kyle Potter and Christopher Blue have to come in.
Kyle Potter stays out as well. Christopher Blue stays out. Corey Lobner does come in.
Yeah, Lobner was at 21, so he's one lap down relative to going deep in comparison to Lobner and Potter, Blue and Potter. So now it's like I'm really interested to see. So we got single stoppers still left in the field.
Yeah.
Stephen Wallace, Ryan Duquesne, Kyle Potter, Christopher Blue. Everybody down below them has taken 2 stops. So.
Yes. Jaden Ledbetter coming in from the lead, just getting that done with his stop as well.
We didn't talk about this enough, but rejoining on pit road here at Charlotte, almost as awkward as the entry.
Yes.
You get dumped out on the exit of turn 1.
Yeah, you get dumped out on the racing line, or just before it. And if you keep going straight, you'll end up in the racing line. So it's nice to rejoin because it's a very easy rejoin. But at the same time, if you are
in.
cutting the car off, it's possible that you run into some traffic there. Wallace in as well.
Wallace is in. Buchanan's is in.
Potter.
Still waiting to see when Kyle Potter and Chris.
He is in.
Yep.
Chris Blue.
Potter and Blue.
Also ducking in. Definite 2-stopper for, it looks like, all of the GT4 and I'm going to guess the LMP3 field. Scott Fleming is the last of our LMP3s to not have stopped. I think he was one of the last LMP3s to stop.
So let's talk about things that are working out for folks relative to the pit stops. Stephen Wallace pushing late, 11.05 on the jacks, 39.5 in the lane. An absolute blistering pit stop from Stephen Wallace. That is at least 2 seconds faster than most of the GT4 field.
Yeah. I think that paid off really well when he ends up ahead of Henry Garcia, jumping him in the pits, and also jumping, I think it was jumping Henry Garcia in the pits by a pretty healthy margin now. 5 seconds behind.
Want to take a brief moment give some shout outs to some big winners. Big winners. Stephen Wallace is currently up 9 spots.
Yeah.
Corey Lobner is up 10. And then other big winners that for the points got to be feeling great right now. Ryan Buchanan is up 5 spots, and he is sitting behind Matt Pyle. I think a 5th place finish in GT4 Pro might be the best we've seen from Ryan this season.
I think so, and I think it's going to give him some really good points. I think he's also been out a couple of races, so I think it'll be a good way to cement, even with the drop weeks, he'll have plenty of room to fight for some good positions there. Yeah. I think I see Gabe Chavez has crashed. I don't know if this is just a self spin. Let me take a quick look at it.
Scrap SS with the follow. Thank you so much. This is like Let's Go Kyle Potter, who is currently sitting, I believe, 6th in GT4 Pro.
Yeah. Saves it from hitting the wall.
Yep, saves it from hitting the wall. That's the important part. And then TG211 GT, is registration closed for the season? I believe it is, but I believe that depending on when cars are getting added or dropped based on participation, registration does open up, I believe, in those circumstances to let cars in.
Yep.
So
there'll be another, I think, round of registration once they have evaluated who is racing versus not racing and cars are dropped.
Basically, what I would recommend there, TG, is hit us up on simgrid.com, check the host for Track Limits Racing, and as soon as that registration opens up, click that join button. You could also follow along with the community in our Discord server, !Discord and chat should get you the command. And then, that's going to be what you need to do to stay on top of it and see if you can get involved when registration opens up.
Scott Fleming, 7 seconds. I would say on the jacks, but I think he just had the fuel guy just tap the line to the intake, and then he was off again.
And that right there is down to fuel safe strategy, pushing as deep as he can go to get to that fuel number that gives him the shortest pit stop that we've seen today.
Absolutely.
And we've got less than 6 minutes left here in round 4.
Eduardo Zamora looking to make a move on Ryan Buchanan. Would not be for position in class, will be for overall GT4 position, so taking points away from Ryan, but would not be fighting for a spot in the classification of GT4 Pro versus AM.
It's going to go deep on the brakes, and they touch. And Zamora might have been a bit brave on that, but
I think there's definitely an option there. I'm going to ride along.
Now, the thing that is going to hurt Zamora the most is the fact that he has now lost positions relative to Lobner and Sullivan.
Yeah.
So that's going to be, one thing I didn't think about with this one, Jaden's head's going to melt when he gets to the actual incident review.
Yeah, I was kind of going, the stewarding report for this one is going to be a little extensive. I didn't really think about it either until you just mentioned it. But definitely, I think a lot of review for the stewards and for Jaden primarily as a result, which I think he deserves, or he's earned by winning and doing well in a race.
Oh man, the sports car series giveth, and the sports car series taketh away.
I think
like winning is cold comfort. Here's your incident report, sir.
But I mean, he did set a 111.06.
Yeah, so he's going to definitely going to be happy with that number. And one thing I did want to come back and check on, and that is Mr. Ethan Hamlet did not manage to get into the 20s.
Not yet.
21.11. There's still time.
Well, I think if he's battling traffic, I don't think he'll be getting that too seriously.
Yeah. So as we get ready to close out these final laps here in round 4, 22 viewers in chat, thank you all so much for joining us and being a part of the show here in round 4. Be sure and check back with us March 29th. The biggin. 250 miles of Sebring. It's gonna be a show. We hope to see you there, and I hope that the turnout for this one's gonna be big, because 250 miles of Sebring, multi-class racing, LMP3s, GT4s. If the fuel limitations are still in play, boy, that's going to be some interesting strategy.
Absolutely. I am very stoked. I think it'll be a fantastic race by the looks of it, and assume based on the it being Sebring. Sebring's a very, very nice track to drive on if you're anybody outside of myself. So I think it'll be a very nice one for everybody who wants to come out and have like a really good battle for position. Yeah, I think it'll be a good race. So
LMP3 is getting the washboard experience in Sunset. If you like bumps and you like bouncing, Sebring's the place for you. But yeah, round 5 is going to be excellent. We hope to see you all there. We are getting close to that final stage. Jaden Ledbetter has less than 2 minutes as he hits the oval section, moving through some GT4 traffic. Jaden having some of the best luck he has had all season. I'm sure with a 22-second lead, if he is on full send right now and he wrecks, I'm going to have no sympathy for him.
I have not either.
With a 22-second lead, like, you need to be tiptoeing around, dodging every banana peel, every green shell, because this man needs this win. He needs it.
Yeah, and I think he's definitely got it as long as he's patient. He does some good heads-up driving.
We say that, and he's like, and we're about to see how cars are born. So that was definitely that was close. Enough room for the Holy Spirit. I mean, and now he's just messing with us. He can hear us, and now he's just messing with us. But here's the thing, though. The stakes aren't high for us.
No, it's true.
So keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
You could definitely end up piloting the FAFO LMP3 next season. Into the final chicane, Mr. Jaden Ledbetter.
Let's see. Got the white flag this time by.
Yep, white flag this time by. And Ethan Hamlet, Christopher Blue in the lead of GT4 AM. So this is kind of a repeat from the heat race.
Yeah.
Top 3 in each class haven't changed places. Well, actually, no, that's wrong.
Yeah.
Gian finished in front because Jaden had his typical disaster race. Anyway, so Jaden Ledbetter looks like he might take it home. Ethan Hamlet, again, kind of cool, calm, and collected. Very, very. It's the Ethan Hamlet formula, right? This man is absolutely no drama llama when he's in the car. Just absolute precision, full awareness. That's why he's in the lead in GT4 Pro.
Jaden Ledbetter coming out of the bus stop for the final couple corners of NASCAR 3 and 4 before the final chicane. He'll wrap out his white flag lap, I think, without incident, which he'll be happy to have. Little wiggle there as he has hit the checker flag. And
Jaden Ledbetter, ladies and gentlemen, has a result. A good result. Good result. Top finish for Jaden. Congratulations to him. Congratulations to Ethan and Christopher Blue. Christopher Blue putting in a really good show in terms of showing up, putting in the laps, showing everybody that consistency is what gets you titles in GT4. And actually, to be honest, he had some really good pace. He didn't have Eduardo Zamora pace like early on, but still had the consistency was just one out. Gian Cardoso is going to come across the line in second for LMP3. I believe Mark Coyne, the hardest working man in sim racing, is going to take third.
Yes.
Or no, Gian Cardoso is going to take the relative is messing with me. I apologize. Scott Fleming in second, Gian Cardoso in third, Mark Coyne in fourth. Still waiting to find out who's going to finish second and third in GT4 Pro, but we've got Lobner and Zamora second and third in the AM.
I believe that is going to
I
be
believe it's Stephen
Wallace and Henry Garcia, who both have to finish another lap, as they were still in the same lap as Ethan Hamlet, and not lapped further by Jaden Ledbetter. Matthew Pyle bringing it home in fourth.
Ryan Buchanan does manage to eke out that fifth place finish. That is a good turnaround for Ryan Buchanan's season. Kyle Potter getting an introduction into GT4 Pro the rough way, sixth in the standings, but that's still good points for Kyle. That's going to be still good, some good points for Kyle. So I think that's going to keep his championship. It's going to start mounting his championship charge in GT4 Pro. We'll see what he can do in Sebring. Yeah, we'll see those results. Round 4 is in the books, ladies and gentlemen.
And
Jaden Ledbetter. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Jaden Ledbetter taking it home. It's called by Scott Fleming, a whole 22 seconds back. Definitely that track, that pace management, as well as dealing with traffic, showing a huge disparity in the times here. Gian Cardoso bringing home the bottom step of the podium after an amazing finish in the heat race. Definitely, I think, didn't keep the pace, but also I think had a little less luck via the unluck of others that he did in the heat race. But still, on the podium, great finish for Gian. Mark Coyne coming home in fourth, hardest working man in sim racing, from what I've heard. Gab Chavez, bringing home fifth. Very solid result after a pretty rough start, it seemed like, to the feature race. Anthony Newman in sixth. Alex Velasco in seventh. Wesley Griffith and I think Andrew Monroe both did not start the feature race. So they are 8th and 9th, respectively.
That is some wild results there for LMP3. That's going to be good points for Gian. Scott Fleming, excellent recovery in the feature race. And with that, sir, tell us about what the GT4 Pro looks like.
GT4 Pro, Ethan Hamlet, once again coming back with a win. Back on the podium, back on the top step of the podium after being in the third spot at the end of Motegi, followed by Stephen Wallace, who makes a rather commanding comeback into the world of GT4, and Henry Garcia, a smooth, I think, 1 second behind Stephen. It was a very close finish for both of them, as Henry Garcia was trying to make up the time that he had lost in pit lane to round out the podium. Matthew Pyle, Ryan Buchanan, twin drivers in the Pyle Driving Racing group, finished 4th and 5th, respectively. Fantastic finish for Ryan Buchanan, like we've said. Another good comeback from a spin at the beginning of the race for Matt Pyle, so definitely good racing there. Kyle Potter, Tanner Schiffner, Tommy Kogan, I think, round out all of our finishers, unless I have more here. Nope, that is all of our finishers for GT4 Pro. And GT4 AM, what do we got over there?
So GT4 AM, Corey Lobner.
Nope. We have Chris Blue.
Well, actually, I don't see the first spot. That's going to be Christopher Blue. Christopher Blue, Corey Lobner, and Eduardo Zamora rounding out your podium. Christopher Blue getting a good result in GT4 AM. Again, it's making his championship charge in GT4 AM as strong as ever. Corey Lobner is going to get a good points haul with that second place finish, as is Eduardo Zamora. Sean Sullivan, the fastest GT4, I believe, in the McLaren. So definitely Sean's got some pace. Want to see a little bit more consistency, but also I'm going to say consistency with put an asterisk on that. I'm not entirely sure that some of the instances that ended up happening for him were of his own doing or just bad luck. So we'll see what he can do in Sebring. Bruno Clemente, extremely fast, but not able to really produce the result here in the feature race. Going to try and turn his hopes around at Sebring. And then we've got John Newman, William Lewis on 6th and 7th, respectively. Logan Branson just had a really bad week here in Charlotte. But Wookie OH on Twitch TV, hopefully gonna get himself composed, get into Sebring 250 miles, because I feel like there's 250 miles at Sebring, and 250 miles means lots of opportunity. Thomas DiArcangelo and Dylan Hendricks are going to round out P9 and P10 respectively, with Simon Rescott not turning a lap here at Charlotte.
Yes.
And that's your GT4 AM finishers.
Marvelous. I think that brings us to the end. What are your thoughts?
I mean, Charlotte, brutal track, absolutely brutal track. I do think I'm pretty convinced at this point this is probably going to be the hardest race of the season, just because I think it's about the traffic management around here is just something else. The lap's so short, you never really get a moment to really relax.
Yeah.
Chicago's going to be tough. Don't get me wrong, but I do think this one's going to be the toughest.
Yeah.
Sebring's going to be interesting to see, but yeah, Charlotte. What else can I say other than it was brutal?
Yeah, it was brutal, and I think it was also, I think, extremely unforgiving if you were ever caught out unawares or caught the curbing in just the wrong way. We saw that a lot, especially in the bus stop, final chicane, certain parts of the infield. You hit the curbing wrong, you were either into the wall, spun out. It was, to really maximize the track, you have to use those from the looks of it, and it really would bite you if you overuse them, even by the smallest margin. So definitely a lot of struggle to find that limit with the track more so than the car itself.
Yeah,
but
it's tough. It's a tough one.
And it's
but,
not one we see a lot
in.
Oh, sorry. It's not one we see a lot in road racing either. It's usually one we see on the calendar for NASCAR for a few of their series as a alternative or off week kind of race in addition to the usual oval schedule. Just something to change it up, and not something you see in road racing. But I think it's one that really is reminiscent of the I think a more difficult infield than Daytona, but a very similar feel to Daytona.
Yeah. The elevation change and some of the corners and their entry points and stuff like that can make things really challenging, especially when you mix in the pace differential between LMP3 GT4.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts are going into the 250 at Sebring?
I definitely think we're going to see some of the most intense racing at Sebring. Everybody really tends to know Sebring, loves Sebring. We'll be just coming off the Sebring 12 as well. So a lot of people who are really familiar with it from a track perspective, probably on a little bit of a faster car with the Sebring 12 and having the GTPs, LMP2s, and GT3s instead of our LMP3 GT4 makeup that we have here at Track Limits. But I think it'll be a lot tighter racing than what we saw here at Charlotte. And I think that'll make for a very fascinating 250 miles as we see where people learn pace, have pace they bring with them, and how it all shakes out over that time. But I think it'll be some of the most intense battling for position that we will see over the course of this season at Sebring.
Yeah, I think Sebring is going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one, but yeah, I think kind of what I'm looking forward to is I'm really looking forward to breaking through that halfway point in the season. I really want to see where the order is kind of like stacked out once we get on the other side of Sebring.
Yeah, because I think we start incorporating drop weeks with those.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a very interesting back half of the season. We got some interesting tracks. We've got some really close matchups right now in the championship.
Yeah.
So, we're just gonna roll into that second half after Sebring, and we're gonna see what it's gonna look like. But we just got to get through those 250 miles of Sebring first, and that's gonna be a lot of opportunities. Steve Wallace is off to watch F1. You have a good night, sir.
Yes, have a good one.
Jaden saying, did what I could, but not enough to take a chunk out of Scott's lead. Well, I mean, there's still plenty of season left, and there's some challenges ahead of us. I say let's go ahead and sign this party off and then see if we can send a raid over. I'm going to get somebody queued up real quick.
Sounds like a plan to me.
So we're going to go say hi to Mr. MX5 all day because he's getting ready to do his thing.
Heck yeah.
18 viewers in chat. We've had so many follows, so many subs. Appreciate all the support, everybody. Everybody at Track Limits Racing really appreciates it. And something that we should really stop for a moment. Pause. And really just like 2 hours and 40 minutes and no disconnects. Just a very consistent, smooth, buttery smooth introduction into back-end stream management for Track Limits Racing with Mr. Finicini. Thank you very much for doing this, sir.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
hopefully the cameras weren't too awful to get through. So.
Oh no, everything was great. Everything was great on my end.
All right.
Really, really appreciate you doing this, and everybody at home, you definitely need to give some props to Mr. Finuccini and chat for putting this together. We are going to see you all again March 29th. 250 miles of Sebring. It's going to be a show. We hope you will be there with us. From everyone at Track Limits Racing, thank you so much for being here. I'm Whelp Cakes, Mr. Finuccini in the booth. We're going to catch you all next time. I'm just going to punch the raid button. You ready to go?
Yeah, let's go.